You've just got to love that funky intro, haven't you? It's Super Sunday, guys, and welcome to the APAT Show. Tonight's guest is none other than Dan Williams, poker player, podcaster, and a one-time pool shark, and I'm sure we'll talk about that throughout tonight's episode. Dan is going to be looking at your play in the roller and the deep stack, and indeed he is a long-term APAT player. So for that and much more, join Leigh, Dan, and myself right after this. Leigh, I love Dan Williams, and it's been much too long since we spoke to him. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more. Although I'm starting to get a bit worried, Des, because you seem to be taking all of my kind of intro material with your little monologue at the start of the show. I mean, you're leaving me with not much to say other than "Welcome to the show, Dan Williams. How are you doing?"
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I mean, I was a bit worried. Des was nice to me, and it's been a long time since that's happened. So. Yeah, somebody must have tipped him off, but I'm well. How are you guys? You well?
Good. We're good, Dan. We're good. And I have to say, I mean, we spoke for 5 minutes before the show, right? Just before we all went live. And, I was being very genuine in my intro there. It's just really nice to talk to you. One of the guys that we haven't connected with as much over the last year. You've been doing other stuff. Everybody's been doing crazy things during lockdown, right? And it's just really nice to talk to you.
Oh, it's good. It's good to be back. I think we were looking at 5 years. 5 years since we spoke. Probably 7 years since you shouted at me that you were the leader of APAT and I needed to do your job for you. But I've been busy, making children and kind of adult stuff, which I know many people that know me would be surprised that I decided to do any of those things.
That's fantastic.
It was accidental, I promise. But we're good.
Making children, Leigh. Making children, he said. Tell us, has Dan made any APAT medals? Because frankly, that's what counts around here, right?
Well, I mean, this could be a bit of a sore subject here because I know for a fact Dan is a two-time team event winner. Should have been 3, I think, Dan. Yeah, but you somehow, I think you had Gambling Network Forum and Bristol Poker Meetup. I think between them they won 3 between them all, but I think you only played in 2 of them. Is that right?
Yeah, I let somebody else have a go, as you do.
And the sore point here is I don't think we did medals for that very first one that you picked up a win in.
Medals.
Did you? So you never got a medal for that?
No, I have the medal.
Oh, have you?
I think we gave them out late, didn't we? It was like about a year later. Somebody browbeat us into doing it.
About 6 years later.
Yeah, okay, probably. Maybe 6 years. It might have been you that browbeat us, Leigh. Actually, could that have been?
Quite possibly, yeah. Do the right thing. Always doing the right thing.
That was a magnificent weekend. That was, if I'm not mistaken, in Blackpool. I think it was probably APAT's first visit to Blackpool, season 2, the first UK team championship. Bristol and Southwest wearing orange, right? Not massively dissimilar to what you're wearing tonight, Dan, right? Wearing orange. Now, you maybe with Gambling Network Forum. Were you with the Bristol and Southwest meetup team as well?
No, I played poker with them, but I was an infant in my poker career then. So I think the year that they won it, I was probably first or second year of university, maybe. So I just started playing with them. But obviously wasn't top notch enough to get the invite. So I joined the Gambling Network Forum that only had about 12 people active on the forum. So gave myself a really good chance of getting into the team, which 2 people dropped out and I got my place. So that was lucky.
Then you did 2 wins. What, two wins in 3 years? I think it was. Wasn't it both at Luton? That'd be right, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I think, if I remember rightly, I think we nearly 3-peated it. So there was a year in the middle when we came third, I believe. That was the year that, and I know Des loves to drop these big names in, but Feraldo won it outright.
Feraldo,
and I think, yeah,
has he won? He's won something else as well, hasn't he?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, the Grand Slam. Carry on.
The odd thing. Does the Grand Slam include APAT team events now as well? Does it?
May we? Absolutely.
Yeah, so our team came third that year. They were favourites going into the final table, but came third. So it could have been a three-peat, but it wasn't.
I did see Neil's one of his posts the other day where he said he was trying to ladder up the vaccine rankings on the fact that he's actually on his diet is currently 4,000 calories a day and he doesn't actually leave the house. So he thinks that's going to help him in trying to ladder up getting a jab. So
fair play to him. But yeah, other than that, my APAT achievements are quite sparse, which is probably why I'm guess 9,612th on the list, but it's fine.
Hey, these things
but
happen.
Luckily, a great man said to me not about 5 minutes ago that you surround yourself with great people and great things happen. So I just made friends with all the good players and they won all the bracelets. And I just sort of brought the drinks to them and supplied them back in the day with cigarettes and alcohol and all those things.
That's fair enough.
So, yeah.
Listen, I reckon that means
I've touched a lot.
That should mean there are some Gotham stories, some Team Gotham stories that we can squeeze out of you tonight. I think that'd be fun. What do you think, Leigh? It's got to be some legendary stories that we can.
Good luck. I'm sure they all sign some sort of NDA before they actually sign up with Team Gotham. I'm sure it's what happens in Team Gotham stays in Team Gotham. I'm not sure.
There was certainly no signing up process in Team Gotham. You basically got told you're in Team Gotham. This is your alias, and if you don't like it, we'll make your life hell. As Dave Pilkington knows, one of the founding members of Team Gotham, believe it or not. Back in the day.
Irritating man, one of our favourites.
He's great. I mean, who else travels from another country, granted just over the pond, to live in a house with 3 people they've never met that know that they call him the irritating man and just turns up, arms wide open, wanting the cuddles.
I had a couple of hour chat with Dave once at the bar over in Dublin during the Irish what used to be the Bonington. I think it's changed. I think the hotel's changed its name after some boxing related shooting or something, I think, if I remember rightly. But I just spoke so enthusiastically about poker and APAT and looking forward to playing and kind of the planning that he has to do into actually getting in and playing and how much he just enjoys the weekends and. Yeah, and I think in a way he sort of revels with the nickname a little bit. I think at times he quite enjoys the fact that it's part of the crew, shall we say? Yeah,
quite right too. So listen, talking about the crew, Leigh, we do have a few people in, as you might expect. Jack Hipkiss is in early with an evening Des. I'm sure he means evening Des, evening Leigh. Evening, Dan. Steve Forty follows him up with similar and also asks me, is it time to sack Klopp? It's very, very early in the evening to get your Liverpool kick in, but no, I think we're hanging on to Klopp. Jay Ferns is with us as well, and Greg Mawson. Jack also says, anyone who had Jordan Brown to win the snooker right now, I don't know if we're going to give out any spoilers here. At the start of the week is now 750 times better off their bet. So I assume that means Mr. Brown beat Mr. O'Sullivan in tonight's Welsh Open final table. That's incredible. Andre Tin is in as well. So good to see you, Andre. And did I see Andre and Joris DeBas, right, are leading the deep stack?
Yeah. I was going to
say,
say,
incredible. What a great story.
Obviously, Joris DeBas picked up the bracelet for the stud event in the WCOP and posted up his kind of bracelet and medal that arrived earlier on in the week. And Andre's up there as well. Actually, there's a few names in this Sunday roller, last 14 players. Tim Magnus is in there. Joby Plunkett, who was player of the series for the mini series in the Worlds. He's currently got chips. As Lewis Tabib, the Austrian captain, he's got chips as well. Gary Young, and a bit of a name from the past, Mark Redshaw is playing tonight as well. I'm going to assume that is the Mark Redshaw, who played APAT in days gone by.
Oh, I thought so. Yeah,
to see him at the table. Yeah.
Okay, let me pull that in. So obviously you've mentioned the deep stack and the roller, Leigh. Anything else being played tonight by any of the members out there? Do you know?
There'll be
notable?
loads going on because there's a load of stuff going on with the millions as well tonight and a few other bits and pieces. But obviously we have got some seats up for grabs with the leaderboards that have been running all week for the 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. leaderboards. Top 5 are all picking up $33 tickets tonight. So Obviously, the 7 p.m. one has currently got Andre Tin currently top of that leaderboard. Don Logan's up there still at the moment. Sergei Peremitov is up there as well, as is Andrew White. Pete Wigglesworth is just out of the top 5 at the moment. And in the 8 p.m. one, Paul Harris is there. Brendan Burns in with a shout. Tom Banks, Gary Young is in with a shout, and he's playing tonight. So a load of them trying to get in the top 5 to pick up some added value tickets.
Fantastic.
So we'll see how that plays out.
Lovely. Listen, we had a chunk of success right following last Sunday night's show, where you might remember we left it. Joby was still running deep in the Millions Mini. Jamie O'Connor, who was a guest on the show, do you remember Jamie? Yeah, Jamie was on the old dial-up.
Yeah.
Jamie was on the dial-up last week, guys.
We had a few technical problems with Jamie last week.
It was difficult.
Great.
So he was playing the Millions Mini. Also, Patrick Bly, who won the WCA OAP main event, with Jamie finishing 3rd. He was going deep into the Millions Mini last week as well. Any report on how they all did, Leigh?
Well, some good news and some bad news.
Right.
So Joby with his free seat that he won from the being player of the series, the mini, got close to day 2, which would have put him in the cash, but just missed out. But gave us a glowing report on how much he enjoyed that whole experience. Patrick, well, he cashed in about 20 something odd.
21st.
It was in the end. 21st.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
21st. Yeah.
And Boz went a little bit further and final tabled.
Who, Leigh?
Boz. Yes.
Sorry, Leigh. Leigh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Leigh?
You know, I think that that robot that's landed on Mars tweeted quicker than Jamie O'Connor's internet connection to us last Sunday night.
I tell you, Dan's looking a bit confused. He's looking a bit confused there. So we had Jamie O'Connor on the show last week, Dan. He finished 3rd in the WCOAP main. Jamie has won like 800 or 900 grand live, rather. So he's a pro.
I know who he is. I know
pro player. Yeah. Probably shouldn't have been in the field, but we had a really great chat with him. But there was about a 4-second gap between asking the question and him hearing it. So it was almost a bit like, you have those NASA conversations between Earth and, I don't know, what's the furthest away past the sun? So somewhere really far away where you have this big gap between the question and the answer.
I know. It's Liverpool's title hopes.
Hey!
No.
Okay.
To be fair, as a Man United fan, I am drinking out of a Liverpool mug.
I didn't think, what is that all about?
Well, it's the only cup he's going to see this year.
So whilst we're on, I'm going to get this in. I'm going to get this in early, right? We've got something important to talk about here. So, Des.
Yep.
Talk to me about your spat with Genev 2 last night. What happened?
Oh, how did you know about that? Fucking hell. No, I can't get into that, Leigh. I can't get into that. Come on. I can't get into that. I did shoot something across his bows, and he seemed to take notice and called me up on it at one point.
I believe he did take notice. Yes,
he did. He did respond.
You're not gonna share.
No. Well, I actually think
it's been deleted, Dan. It's been deleted.
Right. Seriously, this is a public service to anybody out there.
Hang on, and it's not just been deleted. But Gary Nev actually commented on the fact that it's been deleted as well. So.
If you have got the testicular fortitude to first send that tweet, you can't then delete it. Come on, Des.
Here's the thing. I quite like Gary Neville. I think he's probably the best of the pundits out there, and I actually think, he's been pretty fair to Liverpool. Now, we're going through a tough time at the moment. And, we all understand why. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. I'm pretty calm about the whole thing. But after every Liverpool defeat, Gary now posts a picture of himself drinking a nice red very, very slowly with some sort of very smart comment. And I think what he's sort of failing to understand is that there are a lot of Liverpool fans out there who are so frustrated because of the injuries and because of the position that we now find ourselves in, that actually he's probably created, there's quite a lot of despair. He's slow rolling all of these people, and he's doing it consistently now. So yeah, I think he's getting to the point that he's a bit naughty. So
I think you all deserve it.
I fired at him last night, and then I thought, nah, it's a bit immature. He's triggered me.
No, behave. Last season, I had to listen to the obnoxious, audacious comments from Liverpool fans. They'd finally figured out how to kick a football to each other and got on their high horse. And I had to listen to that all season. Now, granted, I'm no celebrity. Well, maybe I am, but not in Gary Neville's sort of terms. And you know what? You all deserve it. You had your glory for a season. I didn't hear the end of it. And I'm going to give you some background here. My wife's a Liverpool fan, father-in-law, mother-in-law. Even my little kids now run around shouting Liverpool, Liverpool, which they don't understand the joke. But yeah, you deserve it. You kicked the ball around for one season, and now you've forgotten how to do it, and the world's fallen over. Now, I'm a bit like you. I don't care. I'm a Man United fan, but I'll drink from a Liverpool mug. I'm not going to cry about it. It's a mug. It serves its purpose. It gives me coffee that is lukewarm and or tepid at best. But talking of football, here's one for you. Because I was talking to a friend about this, and we're talking about England at the Euros.
Oh, yeah.
I think Liverpool's despair at the back has actually given Southgate a solution to the biggest problem that England have. Now, I know you don't care too much for England, Des, nor you, Leigh, I suppose, being Welsh, but what are the listeners' thoughts on this? I think Jordan Henderson should slot in at centre-back for England, if fit. And that allows us to play Rice and Maddison as our central midfielders and then playing
he's not you can't play him there. He's
not
good enough.
All he does at Liverpool is pass backwards. That's all he does.
That's not true. Why not? It's not true. It's just not true.
So true.
One of the key reasons that we're struggling this year is because Liverpool's midfield last season was just an engine room, right? That's all it was. It wasn't designed to be highly talented or creative or anything like that. It was designed to win the ball, get it forward quickly. Right, that was it, and then you let the front three do their thing, or you let the two wing backs do their thing. Right, that was Liverpool's formula, and to be able to execute on that, you needed two solid and quick centre backs. So Van Dijk and Gomez, both solid, both quick. Then your fullbacks could fly up the pitch, and both did an extremely good job, I think, over the last couple of seasons. Unfortunately, by taking Fabinho and then Henderson out of midfield, you've now got a very strange concoction of a midfield. We've had no Kais all season. I mean, I could bore you with my ills, but it's killed the ecosystem that enabled the fullback to do their thing properly. We've not been able to give any of the front three a break because we've got nobody to replace them with, and they've gone completely off the boil. So it's just, 18 centre-back permutations this season so far. 18. Crikey.
Do you not think?
Sorry, how does this solve
the
England thing?
Yeah, but do you not think though, Des?
It's not.
A team that's won the Champions League and then won the Premier League the following year should have a squad to be able to cope. To say that you can't rest the front three and you've had a transfer window to buy it, and you bought in two centre backs, yet he doesn't seem to want to play them. I don't know whether they're injured.
Well, Kabak's played in the last two. Kabak's played in the last two games. Davies hasn't yet, but I think he's probably not going to want to put him in a position whereby both will be played together. But I just don't think you. I didn't think you want to. I just don't think you wanted to spend. In January, I mean,
whereas you should have probably gone and spent 25-30 million on an experienced centre back to build the problem.
Yeah, I think there might be.
Didn't you loan out Minamoto or whatever his name is as well to Southampton?
Minamino,
haven't you?
Yeah.
Minamino. Yeah. Well, why loan out a striker if you're
couldn't get a game? But he wasn't a striker. He wasn't a striker.
No,
he wasn't brought in as a striker.
He kind of plays the Firmino role, doesn't he?
He's between the lines type player. If you had a Danny Ings would be doing great at Liverpool now. Jota was doing brilliantly. Jota got 8 goals in like 9 games, but he's got fucking injured. It's just outrageous. So Jota was that player who came in, could play right or left or down the middle indeed, had performed very, very well. Klopp, I don't quite know why, played him in in the final game of the group in the Champions League. And he got injured in Denmark. We'd already qualified top the group. Quite why he was played, I don't know, but nonetheless, he was played. He's been out now for 3 months, so it's like, it's all conspired. But I think once we get to summer and start again next year, and who knows, maybe there's a few games left in the Champions League. I think we can have a good season again next year. I really do.
Jeldon's in the chat says you should buy Louise from Arsenal. Apparently, that's what you should have done.
Nobody should buy him.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not.
Steer clear.
Yeah, for no amount of money that you could give us, would we do that?
But he is just saying he is just saying the Three Musketeers back together, because obviously we mentioned Tim and Mark are playing the Sunday Roller and are still in with 13 players left, and Jeldon is in the chat, so I can only assume the poker hasn't gone as well for him tonight.
Oh, it's brilliant. Why am I not seeing Jeldon in the chat? How frustrating is that?
He's Jay Ferns on Facebook.
Ah, okay, got it. Okay, that makes more sense to me now. Yeah, that makes more sense to me now. I'm definitely seeing Jay Ferns.
So how are the old school doing then? Because obviously it's been 5 years since I've set foot to any of this sort of stuff. So
I'll tell you what, Dan, it's been what lockdown has done is it's brought an amazing number of new players to APAT, but also a ridiculous number of players that we've not seen for years and years that have gone on and done similar to what you've described for the last 4 or 5 years, that during lockdown all of a sudden have come back and either got re-energized to play a bit of poker, or have just decided to kind of join back up with the community and get involved. So yeah, it's been really good.
Cracking.
Good. Yeah, I did have a quick look at I saw that. Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, let's be honest and frank, over the last however many years, there's been lots of different sort of sites and companies that wanted to dip their toe into the APAT brand, but I think Party's a better, longer stay option.
Party's a good one. I mean, we always wanted to really focus in on either the British operators or the big poker operators, one of the two. We didn't ever sign with anybody that we wouldn't have called a tier one, as it were, be that a Coral, a William Hill, an 888. Party feels like, they're in a really good spot. I think they're very cautious. They're not like GG, who are rocking and rolling in a big way at the moment. I think Party are willing to invest, but they're willing to invest sensibly and do things right. So it seems to be a good place for us at the moment. Of course, we like real names and we like no HUDs, and that's something that they're definitely leading the space on at the moment.
Yeah, I think the no HUDs thing's massive for your demographic.
Yeah,
I think if you're trying to center yourself as obviously and as an amateur poker tour, we all know there's that conversation about HUDs, whether they're good or bad and indifferent. And I'm not going to sit here and tell people that they're wrong with what they think, but some of you are. But you're right. I think it frees a lot of that up, doesn't it? And it just lets people sort of play with the flow and the flow of playing.
It's about
have you ever played with HUDs? I mean, because you used to play reasonable volume.
For me,
poker.
I have always played with a HUD from first installing it all those years ago to. I mean, to be fair, when I used to play seriously, I benefited from one. I was playing 18 to 24 tables, so I didn't really know what was going on. I was just kind of autopiloting a lot of the time.
Buttons, basically.
Yeah, just shoving the money in. And I have to say, it's interesting. So when I started playing again during lockdown. I started a little bankroll challenge and just did some sort of small stake stuff with some friends. And, as you do, I'm not in a position to start lumping loads. I could if I wanted to, but the wife might shoot me. So,
we don't
happy
want
wife, happy life and all that. Well, she might. But yeah, so I started streaming and playing some small stakes and running up. And I found it really interesting. So it was a real eye-opener to actually pay attention on Party. So I play on Party as one of the sites I use. And it's definitely different. And it's definitely not the norm for me. But I think for an amateur coming up from grassroots, because you got to think, you guys, I guess you're taking on a lot of like the pub poker players and stuff like that would normally in the last 12 months be frequenting these pub leagues and so on and so forth. I imagine a lot of those are sort of coming through the ranks now and getting involved. So,
it's funny actually. A lot of pub poker players, they quite like what they do and the groups that they're in. Some do kind of move on to want to progress to kind of different levels of poker and try and and up their game. But a lot of them, it's more of a social thing, I think. So I think do very much see that they tend to kind of swim in the same circles, whichever pub poker league it is that they're kind of affiliated with. They seem to tend to stick to those and not really do much much else.
Yeah.
We get the odd one that come across, but and some have had some reasonable success with us. But it isn't like a mass thing. I think very much it's a social thing for those players.
Yeah, I think we've picked up on the players who who would have been the typical APAT players. Really, they read a poker magazine when they can. If they pick one up in a casino or they see one in WA Smith, they might buy one. They definitely like playing live. They want to play it a huge amount, and they prefer to play at reasonably sensible stakes. But typically these men and women have found themselves at home for lockdown, and they thought, what am I going to do in the evening? Right, how am I going to break the monotony a little bit? I know. Why don't I go and play some poker? So I think a lot of the people who want to fill some of that gap have come back to us. And, we had some really strong promotions. I mean, Leigh came up with a poker squads concept that was really, really good, team poker orientated, ran for 8-9 months. And, we had more than one player who played every single night. I mean, every single night for 8 or 9 months. I mean, 7 nights a week, every single night. So, we just filled a gap. And then we added the APAT show. We've been doing this for 9 months. We were doing it, 4 nights a week at the start, Leigh? And it's filled a gap for Leigh and I. We pulled it back to a sensible period of time. But I think it's just, it's zeroed in a focus for, the community and stuff. And we've sort of filled a gap, I think. I think that's the key reason that the numbers have been as good as they have. And who knows what they'll be like when it goes back to normal. But I think the industry as a whole has seen a bit of a resurgence as far as poker is concerned. Plus, of course, and this is quite a big thing, the World Poker Tour, the World Series of Poker, everybody's having to play their live events online. So, it's brought a hell of a buzz to the online market.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it changing for a little while. Obviously, the Irish Open has confirmed that they're now online with Party. I mean, we're starting to sneak around to another WSOP. I mean, I can't see how everyone's going to be traveling to Vegas for May and June at the moment. What do you reckon, Dan?
No, I think we are, especially in the UK. I think we're longer away from a resolution than people think. I think people are tired and exhausted of the situation, and like you said earlier, it's Groundhog Day, so everybody's looking for a more positive sort of future and positive resolution. But actually, I think we're much, much further away. I don't think we're going to be anywhere back to normal. I mean, I work in leisure at the moment, so I manage leisure centres that are council owned. We're not expecting to be back until June or July.
Yeah.
And if leisure operators and gyms aren't going to be back till sort of late spring, say, what chance is anything else, that is deemed less important, I suppose. So no, I think probably October time before we see normality, which, sorry everybody if you're listening, I mean, I'm no expert, don't go with me, but I just, knowing what I know from the industry that I'm in, I think we're further away from the end.
I think there's some positive news this week. I think they seem to be happy with the rollout of the vaccine, and it's happening quicker than they thought it was going to. So there is talk that they think they'll get that out to certainly all adults in the UK earlier than they thought. But as you say, by the time you then roll everything kind of together and get things back to some sort of normality, and who's going to be first to want to give it a go, whether it be obviously we're talking about a big poker tournament, aren't we? A kind of a festival type thing. There were cash games, I think, last summer for a little while. I think we had Paul Haycock on the show 1 week, and he played a couple of games in Coventry at the G there, and said it was all kind of plexiglass and masks, and a hand sanitizer was the button, and that kind of thing. And that was and he played that for a few weeks, but ultimately it's not the same thing, is it? As kind of the social.
No. No, you can't hit. You can't punch somebody when they get lucky on the river. No,
no, you can't. Just in case you catch something from their face, right? I understand where you're coming from.
The thing for me is it's not the same. I like poker because I can get up and sing and get the table to sing stupid songs and get involved. I don't want to be, I don't want to be dumbed down. But who knows? You're right. They are rolling out quicker. I'm in Gloucestershire and we're last week, I think it was reported, we were one of the quickest to get it out. Whether that's good or bad, they might be hitting the wrong spot on the arm, who knows, but they're getting it out. So
they're testing it on you guys. That's what they're doing. They're just
I'm
looking to
the
see
only
who
one that hasn't
falls
got it.
over.
In my family, I'm literally the only one that hasn't got it. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, the wife, they've all had it because she works for the NHS, and I'm the only one. So, and her sister works for the NHS as well. So they'll get their second, they'll be able to go and do stuff. And old Larry will be sat on his own here for a bit, which I'm not.
Well,
it just
means it just pretty much means you're going to be Twitch streaming, vlogging, blogging, podcasting, and everything else that you do in a locked room until
for those with 2 children under the age of 6 and you've been homeschooling or with them for the last year, actually it's a blessing in disguise. But
I know
I didn't say that. Don't tell anybody.
Well, they're going to be going back to school soon, Dan, right? It's coming now. I mean, that's a positive. We certainly around here we're talking about early March, as I understand.
Yeah, so we're expecting Imogen to go back to reception in March the 8th, I think it is. But Edwin's preschool, so he's going a couple of days a week. But it's a really weird decision. I don't know if I've made the right one, but ultimately there's only X amount of spots at our nursery for him. And it was kind of on a first come, first serve, and Hannah is entitled to the spots because she works for NHS, but she's not frontline. So we made a decision to give some of those days up to somebody else that might need them.
That's nice.
Which I thought was really nice. And I'm not good, martyr me, but after a year of it, I'm like, do you want to do the extra 2 days?
Have you tried just leaving them?
Situation. She works for a company that supplies the NHS, so they were entitled to it. And they went, "Oh no, we won't take those. It'll be fine. No, it'd be the right thing to do not to do it." Yeah, 3 months in, they were going, "We really should have taken what was on offer."
That's right. Have you tried taking them out into the back garden and just saying, "Look, run along, kids. Run along through the fence there into the forest. Just keep going." Have you tried that?
I mean, I love the fact that you assume I own a house that has a forest nearby. I did take them into the garden in the first lockdown. I fell over running with them and broke my foot, so I couldn't even go out running because that's been my sanctuary for the past 5 years. When I stopped playing cards and being a degenerate, I took up running, which is one of those. I don't know if either of you have ever tried to run or do run, but it's one of those things. I used to drive past the people in the car and I see them running. I'll be like, "What is that plonker doing? What are you doing with your life?" And then obviously found out we're having a child, stopped smoking, stopped partying. I went, I'll go for a little run. And then 3 years later, I'm ended up running 50.
So for anyone just tuning in now, you're watching this. This is Dan Williams. You'll know him online. Nickname Shooter, nickname the hair. Mouth on him, talks. Yeah, well, he's grown up. And he's married. He's got 2 kids, and he now runs. I just wanted to make sure that this is the same DANN Williams, same guy. Honestly, it is the same guy.
Yeah. I was going to ask him. Look, I was going to ask him, Leigh, what do you have been? What's been keeping you busy during lockdown? But honestly, I'm not sure I want to know what has been responsible for this level of change in Dan Williams, just in case it infects anyone else.
No, don't follow suit, guys. Don't do it. just keep your youth. But no, I have to swap it for something. Poker took up quite a lot of my life at that stage. Obviously with the Gotham lads and stuff. And although we'd only catch up maybe 4 or 5 times a year, that's like your close knit group of friends. And then the APAT community is obviously quite an intense community when you're in it. And when you've got the free time and you're playing poker kind of as much as I was, and you're on the forum. How is the forum? Is that still going?
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's called Facebook now, though. We renamed it.
Yeah, forums do tend to die, right? But yeah, so you need to replace it with something, and running kind of became it. I needed to get out of the house because I didn't really know how to be a parent, and I suddenly had a baby that I was responsible for. So any escape from that was great. She's still alive. I've kept her alive for 5 years. Like, go me. I don't know how that happened. And she's not had 1 cigarette, and she's not played a hand of poker yet. So I'm doing all right. But yeah, so it became running, and 1 mile became 2, became 5, became 20, became 50.
So do you play poker now at all, Dan? Do you ever get an urge to play a few hands?
Lockdown I started. So as I said earlier with Leigh, I set up my Twitch channel again.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, posh mic and everything. Look at me.
Oh, look at that.
I don't know how it works.
Wow,
Testing.
very nice. You've got a spit guard as well.
Yeah, so on Twitch, your it's Decaf TV, isn't it?
Yeah, so most people obviously, as you said, remember me as a shooter and all these different things. Decaf came about because my Instagram name for running, because I'm one of those sad people that has a Instagram account based just solely on their running. I'm a loser still. I just haven't changed. It's just different things. But yeah, so Dan the caffeinated runner, as we all know, I drink a lot of coffee because I don't drink alcohol, became Decaf. So Decaf TV is my channel. I play micros across a handful of sites, and we're doing a bit of a bankroll challenge from $50 up to whatever we get to. Knowing me, it's been quite swingy, but I think we're about 160, 170 at the moment, sort of playing micro mix games, cash games. But normally on a Saturday night, we'll stream. I can't stream I'm too old for this. I mean, when you said come on and you said starts at 10 o'clock, I was like, mate, I'm in bed. I'm in bed at 10. Honestly, I'm knackered.
Did we get the right guy? Did we book the right guy, Leigh? Is this Dan?
Definitely did. Definitely.
What the hell happened to Dan?
But you're right though, Dan. And the thing with streaming, it's an interesting one. We've just before we came on air here, Des streamed the latest episode of The Orbit, and we did a content creators special. So one of the guests on there we had with along with Robbie was Jamie Staples.
Good old Staples,
and he said, they would a number of the questions. One of them was, what advice would you give people, wanting to enter the the world of streaming, and how do you go about it, and all blah blah blah. And he said, the problem is there is a thing whereby you are competing against other people streaming, and you can only watch one stream at a time. So actually you doing early, going, actually I'm done by 9 o'clock or whatever, and it's not the worst thing in the world, because actually that's what when the big guys come on the stream and they take thousands and thousands of viewers. It's just
oh yeah, I mean I'm not in it for you can subscribe to my channel, but unlisten, don't. It's a waste of your money. No, it really is. But no, don't. Honestly, it doesn't bother me none.
Listen,
you'll get free. He'll send you free stuff and everything. Honestly, subscribe.
I'm in. I'm going to subscribe. I want to.
I've
absolutely.
got so many free. I've got APAT medals coming out my ears, guys. Loads of them. You can have all those. I did hear that Chris melted down his bracelets and bought a house in Southampton with them. Did you know that?
Fantastic. Has he moved in with Dave's mother? Is that what they've done?
I don't know. I think Dave's still in Dubai, isn't he?
His mother's in Southampton. I always thought Dave was a Southampton guy. Is he not?
Yes, they both were there. They both were.
That's what they've done. Irene and Chris.
If any of them are out there, Team Gotham, I apologise. I've been useless the last 5 years, so I hope you're all safe and you're all well. Except for you, Dwayne, because you drink too many milkshakes. But the rest of you, I hope you're all good. I'm joking. I love you too, Dwayne.
Dan, you heard Leigh talk about the Orbit and the Poker Creators episode that we showed just before we went live tonight, and these guys are all very experienced. They create content. They're quite creative, and we did a little wrap up with them where Leigh likes to get them to just say to camera, "Hey, I'm Jamie Staples, and this is the Orbit," right? So just check out how easy it was to get these creators to do this. Just it's just simple stuff, right? Have a look at this.
Hi, I'm Jamie Staples, and you're watching The Orbit.
Is that okay, Leigh?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's good.
I'll give it up one more.
Okay,
My eye was testing 1, 2. Hi, I'm Jamie Staples, and you're watching The Orbit.
And Marley, you're next.
Cucumbers. Hi, I'm Marley Cordero, and you're watching The Orbit.
And Brad?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it still not on it, or is it?
Yes.
I don't see the yellow thing on mine. It's still okay. Hi, this is Brad Owen, and you're watching The Orbit.
And Sarah?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Herring, and the yellow's not on me still for some reason. Why? Where is the yellow? Cuckoo, cuckoo.
Just let it go, guys. Just let it go.
Marley's the one that gets me because
I'm really trying. I'm like in the microphone, deep in the microphone. Somebody give me a thumbs up if it's on
Find
me.
it louder.
Great. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Herring, and you're watching The Orbit.
Brilliant.
Boom, we got there in the end. It was hard work.
I find it crazy with Marley because obviously she's dating Spraggy. Now,
fantastic.
Spraggy lives about 10 minutes away from me. So I used to know that boy when he was a 16-year-old kid bumming around the streets of Stroud. And I used to manage the phone shop that used to come and get his £10 phone credit with his mates and cause no end of shit. And now he's like a worldwide streamer dating Marley. It's like,
engaged too.
I know.
Power
I know.
couple.
I still see him at McDonald's every 4 a.m. getting his breakfast or his burger that he does. But yeah, so Spraggy literally lives 5 minutes up the road from me.
He's quite weird. He's quite weirdly. It's entertaining because I don't necessarily find the poker stuff that interesting. But he the other night I found myself for about 20 minutes watching him play Hitman, the game, not having a clue what he was doing. But before I knew it, 20 minutes had gone by, and I'm doing, what am I doing? Watching this,
crazy.
And he's just, but it's
he's
quite
got
entertaining.
He is just entertaining. There's just something about him. He has this dry, passive aggressive tone that is so. I don't know how to describe it. But
he died twice, and I still stayed and watched it when he carried the game on. It was like,
well, the thing is, he draws you in because you either like him and you get that humor. It's almost like David Brent-esque, and you understand it and you appreciate it, or you really don't get it, and it's a car crash, but you can't turn off. You know, so like there's going to be a murder. But you've just
Marley said one of the answers to one of the questions on the show, which they're all on demand, guys. So you can watch it on twitch.tv/poker, or you can watch it on Facebook. Just go and look for Twitch Poker, and you'll see all the episodes on there. And it's also on the YouTube as well. But one of the answers Marley gave, she was talking about when talking exactly that thing, and she said she listens to some sports podcasts and has no interest in sports whatsoever, but she finds the host really entertaining. And there's a German, can you remember the German streamer she mentioned, Des? I can't think what his name, but her phrase was, he's speaking Sputnik to me, but however, he is so engaging. I haven't got a clue what he's saying. However, she said, I tune in to watch him.
Listen,
and it's just like, wow.
I have a question because it seems to be going quite extreme on there now to get clicks. And you mentioned, Leigh, that obviously the top guys get all the clicks and everybody else is fighting for pieces of the action. What's happened to Daniel Negreanu? He's gone from being this fairly sensible, credible, sort of, pretty strong poker player to now, particularly with this heads-up game against Poke, he's gone a bit nuts. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but just have a little load of this.
What do I got on the river? Dick again. I can't tell you how many fucking draws I've missed. This is insane. Like, I don't even fucking believe I really do not believe what I'm seeing. I can't believe it. I just can't believe, like, it is like luck. I mean, it literally has me speechless. Like, how many big spots where I have like a fucking flush draw with all this extra shit or whatever and end up literally with my fucking sausage in my hand. My fucking beefy sausage just sitting in my hand, and that's all I got. It's just a fucking dick in my hands by the river, and fucker's got some, queen nine off, just holds like it's fucking, he runs so fucking good in this match, he had no fucking clue. No fucking clue how good. No fucking clue.
Got my sausage in my hand. Daniel Negreanu.
I'll be honest, it's because he went vegan, isn't it? And he's just going crazy. Have you seen that he's challenged Helmuth now?
I heard.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I read on Twitter. I think he's now gunning for Phil Helmuth, and Phil Helmuth has come back and said something stupid like a list of all his achievements. And I'm just thinking, though, putting those two together, it would be like watching. Well, we can't say Maradona because he passed away now, but like it would just be like watching two old-time boxers go at it. It's just the most pointless thing.
But the point is, though, it is bringing people in, and it is bringing viewers in, and people are finding it entertaining. I mean,
absolutely.
Wide-ranging people. I mean, Rob Young was tweeting about the feud. What was he going to do because it's over? And it just was tuning in every night to watch. I'm like, Rob, surely you've got better things to be doing with your time. But no, he was, he wanted to be in and seeing what was going on. But I think it wasn't so much the actual hands that were being played. It was the afters.
Yeah.
It
feels a bit like wrestling, Lee.
The post-match kind of interviews.
It's
yeah,
the entertainment
that was where the
side.
interest was. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, it does feel a bit like that.
I think it definitely went well. Once they got Joe Ingram to commentate, that's a massive uptake. Joe Ingram's phenomenal in poker media. I think any challenge, anything that can get him involved is winning, because he's just got this cult following and he's so captivating. But yeah, you're not there for the poker, because I watched a little bit of it on stream and I had to turn it off because it was mind-numbing, really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Listen,
but I've said
Debrana's
that.
trying to use solvers to beat somebody that knows how to use solvers. You're not going to learn to use a solver proficiently in 5 minutes.
No, but I've said that about a lot of the Twitch streaming, and it's no disrespect to what you do, Dan, because actually I've listened to some of your stuff, and actually you actually engage and are entertaining along with playing some poker. But there are plenty of people out there that all they're doing is playing poker, and there's no real interaction or anything. They're just talking poker for hours and hours and hours at a time, and there's so many of them out there now on Twitch. It's kind of a bit boring.
It's not easy. Listen, talking about poker, gents, I'm just going to put the poker up because we've hit the final table in the roller.
Okay, let me give you. Shall I give a quick rundown of
right?
Yeah,
there we go.
Chip leader coming into this final table of 8 is Andre Tin. He's got just over $1 million in chips. Gregory Leface from Canada is second in chips. Tim Magnus is third. Joris de Bass from the Netherlands, our stud champion from the WCOP, is fourth. Gary Young is in there as well. He's from the South Coast in the UK. Michael Bock, which I think is one of the greatest surnames in poker, is from Germany. Lewis Tveeb, the Austrian captain, is seventh in chips. And the short stack at this final table, making his return to APAT, Mark Redshaw. So good luck to all of you. There's about what is it? It's just over $700 up top for the winner tonight. So not bad for a $33 buy-in, or some that might have got in for $3.30 if they played the feeders. So.
Fantastic. Very good. So we'll continue to talk to Dan, guys. Of course, as the final table plays out, you can also see we've got the sort of the top 14 runners in the deep stack also showing on screen there. But we'll continue to talk to.
Is that
to
Barry?
Dan.
Sorry, is that Barry Simpson? Is that the Barry Simpson? Is that Victor Meldrew?
Yeah, I would imagine that is Barry.
Yeah, will be, yeah.
Come on, Victor Meldrew. Come on, Victor. Screw the rest of you. I don't know. Pearson, Bostock, don't care. Come on. Come on, Barry.
That's fair enough.
I love that. I remember meeting Barry at Dusk Till Dawn with, I think he ended up on the final table. He crushed Chris Webber in like back-to-back pots. 3-handed, I think, at something at Dusk Till Dawn. European Championships. I can't remember. All I remember at the final table, there was Victor Meldrew, there was Chris, and there was a guy that looked like Pablo Juan Montoya, the race car driver. So yeah, he's gone off my screen. Where is he? Is he still in? He's replaced with
Barry.
Ben Bundy. Get out.
Yeah, no, he's still got chips. Don't worry, Barry's still got chips.
He is the ultimate slug. He is the ultimate slug. Come on, lad, slug it off. Let's go. Happy to see him in there.
So listen, you mentioned Chris, right? So talk us through the Team Gotham guys, because it's like a really good, it's like a good version of Reservoir Dogs. You're all walking up the street there with your jackets over your shoulders. It's very early morning. You're coming from somewhere exciting. At least that's the picture we have of you guys. So who's in the team? And it's been a while. What are you all up to now?
Oh God, I be honest, I don't know. I haven't spoken to a lot of them for a while. So the team originated in Nottingham at a little quaint house that Dave found in Gotham, hence Team Gotham. And it started off. It was Dave Howard, aka Batman, Chris Webber, aka Robin, which is the most unfortunate when you look at his accolades in the APAT scene.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. I would guess he's probably got the most bracelets, or one of the most bracelets.
So Dave, first of all, is a WCOAP main event champion, right? So that's an accolade.
Right, we don't have to big him up too much.
Yeah,
right.
we got to say that about Dave. Dave has a really strong online record with APAT as well. Chris is definitely the highest point scoring WCOAP player of all time, I would say. We'll be able to reconfirm that in the near future, but I would say he still is. So he probably has the most bracelets. Just an incredible sort of mixed game record. So carry on, keep going.
And then the other two in the house were myself, the Joker. Don't know how I got that name. Nothing else was left. And then Dave Pilkinson, obviously the. So if you know Dave Pilkinson, aka Irritating Man, and Dave, if you're listening, hello, sir. I do hope you're well. You still scare the life out of me, but you're a legend nonetheless. He has a scary resemblance to Danny DeVito's Penguin.
Yeah.
And actually, what nobody else knows, and I'm letting the cat out of the bag here, there was no Team Gotham on that first night. There was no Team Gotham really on that second night. But what happened is, as the weekend went on, I guess we just realized that Dave looked more and more like Danny DeVito's Penguin. And that's where Team Gotham actually came. We nicknamed him the Penguin. And then we were like, we're living in Gotham. We have the Penguin from Batman. This is going somewhere. So without Dave Pilkington being there probably wouldn't be Team Gotham in the way that you know
that's
them.
a good
So
story. I'm
you could
glad. I'm glad that Pilco's found his piece of APAT sort of history. Funnily enough, even I have a Pilco story. I think he played his first APAT event in Dublin in like 2008, and I was manically careful in almost everything I said and did about APAT back then. Right, a lot worse than I am today. The one time I made what I thought was funny, but typically it's not the sort of thing I would have done. In an APAT update, I put a picture of Pilco in, and I made a reference to For the Jack, because I thought this is a Dublin player. We'll never see or hear from this lad again. But I mentioned For the Jack from For the Ted, because he looked slightly, we're the worse for wear on drink, and his hair was a bit askew and what have you. He had some For the Jack vibes. And little was I to know that 14 odd years on, or 13, 12 years on, Dave is very much still part of the crew. And I think he's taken his little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of the fun and banter that we have with him as a good thing. That's what I think.
He takes it. Let's be honest. The guy's a very friendly chap that just likes to have conversations with people. I think APAT's his opportunity to do that, and I think there are people out there that don't give him that opportunity, and that's a shame. He as much shit as we gave him, he could give it back to us, and I think he definitely understood that it was all coming from a loving place, even when he was at his most irritating. He was trying to get me to buy pieces of this lad that he'd found at the first Worlds that we went to. And all weekend he was trying to get us to buy pieces of this guy. And I'm not going to name the person's name because that's not fair, but I'd have rather buy pieces of a dog. And lo and behold, Dave was very heartbroken when this guy busted first daying absolutely everything. But so that was the original 4. And then it just grew and it grew and it grew. So we ended up with the Riddler, Michael Perry, who bracelet winner for PLO.
Omaha specialist, you would argue.
Omaha
Absolutely.
specialist. Him and Paresh used to go back at it, tete-a-tete. So him, obviously Simon Brooke was there. The legend that is Simon Brooke, which I did see him playing some of the WCA OAP stuff, actually.
Yeah, well, Simon's been on the show. We managed to get Simon on the show. So
he was in there. Who else was there?
What's Simon's nickname? Never had one.
No, he did have one. What was Simon's nickname? I'm going through them all in my head now.
I'm saying Drew out of Despicable Me.
No, it was definitely a Batman reference. What was it? The Riddler. Do you know what? It'll come to me. We'll come back to that one. Dwayne Stacy. No, Alfred is Don. Don is Alfred.
Don Logan. No, Don Roberts. Who?
Don Roberts is Alfred.
Oh, really? Nice.
Basically each world, more and more people came in. We just invited more in. They didn't really know. It was just a case of, do you know what? You look like somebody. Sod it. Come on. So, and then some were like shunned away. So, like Steve Redfern, for example, is just Professor Xavier from X-Men, and he's not allowed to be in the group because he's an X-Men. An X-Men and
quite right.
Simon's in the chat and says Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Thank you, Simon. Simon, how are you, sir? Much love. Nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, Mr. Freeze, of course. Dwayne Stacy, possibly the best introduction to joining a team ever. So I met Dwayne at London at the ISPT when obviously somebody in here did really, really well, didn't they, Leigh?
Might have done. Yeah.
And we'd never met him before, and he turned up, and his first story was him telling us all about how he'd cashed in the WSOP main event twice, which was a great story to hear the first 6 times. And then he went on to bust me at the final table of the APAT event. And so obviously he got one up on me, but he's brilliant. He's the only man I know that drinks a milkshake at 37 years old with every meal.
Good man.
And we quite famously, as a group, would go to Frankie and Benny's wherever we went, whatever stop we were at on the tour. And by the end of the weekend, the waitresses would know us because we would buy 2 £5 breakfasts each. The lot of us, we'd just sit there and just scoff these breakfasts. But Dwayne, no, everybody else would have coffee or water or whatever, juice with the breakfast. Dwayne would have a strawberry milkshake.
But Dwayne's an athlete as well, isn't he? How did he put away all the strawberry milkshakes?
Well, when you're doing 30 or 40 miles running marathon, I don't know if he still does, but he definitely was when we when we first met. Yeah, he started to cut it out actually near the end and was going out for training runs while we were all getting absolutely smashed. So Dwayne was in there. Who else? Oh, Mark Porter. Who doesn't love Mark Porter? Bat boy. What a player. What a guy. He's I believe he's just had his first child actually. Mark has.
Nice. Great.
Sure, that's what he said when I spoke to him a couple of months back.
It's just shocking. Everybody's grown up. It's like, it's been 10 years, really. Do you think, do you think, Dan, if, everything returned to some form of normality and we had a WCOAP, back in Nottingham, back in London, back in Manchester, wherever it would be, do you think would the old group come together and go out for one big spin of poker action again?
I would. I mean, they'd probably, I don't know. I'd like to think they would. When I last spoke to Chris, which granted was probably 6 or 9 months ago via text, he said that they just get together once in a blue moon at his house and have like a weekend of debauchery, which is great for me. I'll take that. But I think we could definitely find another festival. I mean, there's some of us that haven't won a bracelet yet. Do you know what I mean? So
you omitted a name, right? I think you omitted a name.
I've omitted a couple. Ian Witt. Ian,
I was going to mention, because you said some of us haven't yet won a bracelet. Has Ian won a medal?
No, well, not up against 5 years ago. No, whether he has in the last 5 years, I do not know. But you should know that. You're the guys.
It's another one of those sore subjects. I never like to. Talk
don't drill into that one.
Ian still doesn't have a medal. A handful of us still don't have bracelets. Chris has all the bracelets. I do remember Ian once wearing Chris's bracelet. Where was that? I can't remember. I think we were in Wales for that stop, and Chris had his bracelet with him, maybe, or maybe we were in London, and Chris had won the bracelet, and we walked into the bedroom because. Obviously, when we went away to these things, cost everything. So, because we would degenerate our money on the other tables like craps. So we had this like flat in London, and we had 3 of us to a room. So, and it always ended up being Dave would get a bed by himself, nice and quiet. Perry would get a bed by himself because everybody was petrified to be anywhere near him. Same with Simon. And it'd be me, Chris, and Ian left. The 3 slender lads. But to be fair,
into a single.
Honestly, so you'd have to make your own beds up as you could. And the problem is with Chris and Ian, when they drank, they'd get very philosophical. And I didn't drink, so I'd be happy to stay up and gamble. But being drunk was obviously not for me. And we came into the room one night anyway, just after Chris had won his 12th bracelet or whatever. And we caught Ian wearing the bracelet, and he was trying to take it off, but the latch had got caught. And we literally just caught it, and he was like this, just hiding it behind his back, which was really funny. So,
Simon's in the chat and says yes, it was Stratford.
It was Stratford. Yes,
yeah.
Good times.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Good times indeed.
Yeah, and then the group. So we had some other honorees. Rita, remember Rita Galvin?
Oh yeah. Rita, yeah, absolutely.
We brought her in. She was our mascot.
Well, if you've brought Rita in, you've got to bring in Betty as well, right?
Yeah, the dream team, absolutely. So every world that they were there, they just they were still there at 3 a.m. following, because let's be honest, when Chris won a bracelet, it was 3 a.m. on a final table of a game that most of the room didn't know how to play. So, and never great to watch, like nobody's watching stud high-low thinking, "Phew, this is exciting." But they were there supporting and just cheering us on. And they'd be the only ones that would cheer us on by our nicknames, which was hilarious. Just got going, "Go on, Robin! Go on, Mr. Freeze!" But yeah, they were a good crack. But no, it's good times. But yeah, so we will. I think I don't know what you can ask Simon in the chat, but I'm up for it. If the guys are up for one last, farewell tour, then,
no, but it's never a farewell tour, though. It's just next time you can all get a chance to get together. I mean, to be fair, once we get through this lockdown and we do get back to live events, whether it be end of this year or it's actually 2022. I mean, there is going to be a lot of people going, just get me to an APAT weekend. Just I don't care where it is.
Absolutely, yeah,
get me to an APAT weekend. So.
Yeah, you'll get the most runners. You'll be having 3 or 4 day ones. It'll be crazy. People will just be
well, I mean, the sort of numbers that we've just done with the online shows that there is, there's still, there is very much an appetite for good quality, sensible buy-ins, freeze outs. People, want these type of tournaments. That's what we're seeing. I mean, there's 1,751 runners in the main event at the World's just gone by, which is just crazy.
Well, we must have done close to $1 million in prize money, Leigh. The guarantee was 750. We've got to have gone close to $1 million, I'd have thought.
Yeah.
Well, Rob Young needs to just sort the software out because I did notice there was no 8 game. What's that about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. Crikey. Well, we're all beating the drum. Don't you worry.
It's interesting because actually there's not many. If you look at apart from Stars, so even GG, what they did last summer and really blasted the market massively. But if you see the games that they offer, it really is pretty vanilla. And
there was also no Oxy Super Uppy Downy either, which disgusting behavior. That should be a bracelet event in its own right.
Oh, absolutely. Listen,
so Tristan's in the chat says, I think I may have played a team event with the Gotham guys too.
Yeah. So Tristan was in the team. He was the Shark or something. No, we had Mark the Shark. Remember Mark the Shark?
Yeah.
Mark the Shark was in the team. He must have been the Shark because what other nickname would you give him? I remember staying with him and he slept on the sofa because with this huge, that must have been in Manchester because we stayed in Oldham in this amazing barn. But we shoved him on the sofa and bless him. I don't know what he'd eaten that night, but we woke up in the morning and I think the fire alarms were ready to go off. So there's a story from Mark the Shark. Lovely bloke, not great when he's sleeping. Tristan played with us. I've known Tristan for years. I've known him through many a forum. But yeah, he played with us. I can't remember what his nickname. As I said, we just started. Basically, anybody that just wanted to come and beat the Fortress in the corner. We were the group. If you don't know who we are, we were the group that if you're at Stratford, and there'd be all this poker going on over here and people taking it seriously and stuff. And then you'd look at a table and there'd be people with their own deck of cards gambling extortionate amounts of money on games that they'd literally made up there and then.
I think I either live streamed or I might have live, but I certainly know I've kept score at a couple of your side games. Yeah, I definitely know I got lumber with keeping score.
You did because you were the only one we trusted with an Excel spreadsheet, and it needed one.
Legendary.
It needed one.
So listen. You've preempted the Team Gotham Awards, right? So we've got Mark the Shark as Mr. Smelly, okay? Who was Mr. Optimistic?
That's your word. Mr. Optimistic?
Yeah. Who in the group was the most optimistic, i.e. tomorrow's my day, that sort of guy?
Probably... I'd have to say Dave Howard, definitely.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Okay,
just rolled with the punches. Never an issue. Tomorrow's another day. He would not be sad bagging up 6 big blinds going into day 2. He'd be frustrated, but he'd take it. He'd
I like
run
that.
with it.
Every team needs a Mr. Optimistic. Who was the worst dressed?
Oh wow, that's got to be Ian Witt. Without a shadow of a doubt. If you remember Ian, he used to have those like slogan t-shirts with slogans that were just a bit shit. Like I don't remember if you had this one, but like FBI, female body inspector, or like just shitty cartoon characters. But he was a 30-year-old man. But I do know his wife is obsessed with Disney, so maybe that's where it came from. But definitely Ian Witt.
Weird thing there. So my brother and his partner have started a weekend vlog thing that they do.
No, really?
They posted something up on Instagram the other day. They were watching a YouTube video on their TV, and I looked and I thought, that's Ian Witt's wife. I swear that's Ian Witt's. I thought that's Victoria. I'm sure it is. And then I looked at the tags. I'm like, yeah, it is. So I went back to my brother and said, I sort of know the person you're watching. You've been watching on YouTube. It's a guy I know through poker's wife. Yeah, no, she does loads of stuff on YouTube.
She's big,
Disney. Loads of people follow her for Disney tips and kind of behind the scenes and all that kind of that stuff. Yeah, big. I think Ian's in quite a few of the videos as well. I think.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, is he? Yeah,
that's
mad. She was just starting out when we first sort of started playing. But yeah, good old Ian. I feel sorry for Ian. I once cut him in the head with a playing card. I can't remember if I was annoyed because he'd one-outed me or I was just dealing quite aggressively, but a playing card flew up and hit him square in the face and cut him. Oh, that was it. He threw some of my poker chips out from a third balcony window into the car park.
Oh, no.
So I threw a blade.
No.
This is the shit that went on.
Wow.
But yeah, so Ian for worst dressed.
So Ian for worst dressed. Who was Mr. Biggest Moaner?
Oh, me.
I was going to say, that's probably you, isn't it?
100% me. I mean, Leigh once summed me up as the poster boy of perseverance, which was probably a little bit over the top. I just ran terrible. I mean, I just always ran bad. I mean,
come on, don't.
But what I've learned in the next 5 years is I've had, I'm very fortunate. I've had children; they were healthy, and all these things have happened.
Yeah,
but I still run bad. Like
I still run bad.
Just I don't meditate enough. Do you know what I mean? Like I need to be more vegan and kill less cats and things.
Just back on Ian Witt's wife. So on Instagram, she's Victoria in detail. Simon Brooks in the chat has just said she's got 35,000 subscribers, mostly because of Ian's eyebrows.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, Ian is taking a lot of stick tonight. I hope he's not going to win this final award. So the final award, who was the worst player in the group?
Okay. That's a tough one. I mean, we had are we just talking the absolute core members?
Because you probably need to.
Yeah, I think so.
Because obviously, poor old Dave Pilkington doesn't deserve it. But it probably would have been him. I don't know. I would say probably me. Dwayne was a bit reckless and used to do very, very stupid things, but he was ginger, so he had to have run good in another aspect, and I think he got it at the felt sometimes because he'd get himself in some stupid spots and get there, and people would think he's his absolute dominant player with this huge chip stack when really he just 5-bet 6-2 off and got there.
Wow.
But I think if it was about overestimating ability, that was definitely me. I thought I was much better than I was.
He's taken one for the team, Leigh. To be
fair, I think he's got to because Dwayne's had some decent results over the years. So I think probably it would be a little bit.
Gotta be Dann. Well, let me ask the hardest question. Let me ask the hardest question of all, and this shouldn't be based on bracelets or whatever else, right? Because there's a lot of run good required to win events, right? Who was the best player? And you can judge that however you want to.
Chris Webber, phenomenal player, absolute phenomenal. And the reason I give it to Chris over Dave, who would have been my other choice, is Dave was well versed in every aspect of poker. His mixed games were solid. His knowledge of all of the disciplines were great. Chris was a Hold'em player when we met. And I remember the first Worlds at Dusk Till Dawn where he final tabled the stud event. He learned stud on the drive there. We literally talked to him. He had no idea about the concept of the rules. PLO, he knew nothing about PLO high-low. None of the mixed games he knew how to play at all. and he just had half an hour of chatting about them, and then won bracelets in all of them pretty much, or final tabled them all. So that guy is just phenomenal. I still remember, and this will be a distant memory in most people's minds, but I was in the back booth at Dusk Till Dawn playing in the cash championships when he final tabled that. And that, again, another bitter moment. I got robbed by you guys in that with the stupid rule. But I'm going to let it go because I'm older and wiser now. But I should have been there. But do you know what? It's fine. Give it to some other guy with a bigger crowd. It's fine. Anyway, I think he called 5-bet a hand. And me and Dave were sat in the booth. And it was Steve Redfern was on the final table. Frankie, God rest his soul, Frankie was at the final table. A couple of other big players. And I remember it so vividly that it went sort of open 3-bet, 4-bet, and it goes to Chris. And Chris hasn't shown his cards on screen. If you remember, it was obviously you could see the cards live.
Yeah.
And we're sat in the booth with Tighty, and Tighty turns around to me and Dave Howard and says, "Oh, what's Chris got here? He's really thinking." And everybody in the room was trying to put him on this range, and me and Dave just looked at each other and was like, "I don't know, but it's not going to be what you think." And basically, Chris ends up cold 5-betting King Queen offsuit for like £500 or something ridiculous based on these stats, and got everybody to fold. Ace Queen to fold, Ace Jack to fold, Ace 10 to fold. And we spoke to him in the break, and I said to him, "What did you have?" And he tells me, and I'm like, "Okay." And before I can even question him, he turns around and he just has this foolproof theory around everybody's range, everybody's decision, everything, basically, all the meta game that's going on. And he was and obviously I could see everybody's cards, and he was absolutely spot on to literally the cards and the suits.
Wow.
He just understood the game, and he's phenomenal. And I once won a pot of him. That was nice.
2018, he was in the final 3 of the main event, the WCOAP main event in Manchester, the one that Billy, I think it was Burns, won in Manchester. And of course, we'd negotiated to have the front cover.
Billy Berry.
Sorry, Billy, if you're out there. We'd negotiated to have the front cover of Bluff magazine for the winner. Right, it was quite a big thing for us.
Okay.
And I really wanted Chris to win because
we might have annoyed a poker pro along the way with that one, but anyway, that's another
detail. We won't mention him with his 30 or 40 million pounds worth of winnings. A British pro, so he shouldn't be hard to find. He was very pissed off. But anyway, I really wanted Chris to win, obviously because of his APAT record. I just thought he'd been a great winner for us. But I knew at the same time he wouldn't at all have been comfortable with the picture. Like, a professional photographer needing to pose it and all of that nonsense. Wouldn't have been comfortable with that. Never was. Why do you think that was?
Because Chris was not in it for the limelight. Chris had absolutely no interest in the limelight. Do you not remember the photo of him wearing my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle trousers and just like looking at the medal in pure disgust? And it wasn't that he was disgusted by the medal. Like, I want to clear this up. He was very gracious about it all, but that was just Chris's persona, right? But he was about the money. Like, if you just spoke to him at any event, people were saying, like, what's more important to you, the money or the bracelet? He's like, the money. Like, the bracelet's not going to buy me a house. The bracelet's not going to do this. And he understood, like, the symbolic nature of it, and that so many people could want the bracelet maybe more than the money, because money could come and go. But I think he was just in a point in his life where he just wanted the money, and he didn't want to be known by everybody. He just wanted to come play poker. I mean, I didn't know that he came second. Dave came 5th that year as well.
Yeah. It was a great final table from memory. It was really hot.
So Dan, tell me this, because I agree with what you're saying. Actually, Chris is probably I've listened to a lot of people talk about poker in the last 14 years, and Chris would be right up there with people that you just go, they really know what they're talking about and what they're doing. Why is it, do you think, Chris never played more live poker outside of APAT?
So Chris used to play poker for a living in his younger days, and was quite a high stakes cash reg online and live. So from what I remember, he used to play 2-5, etc., maybe 5-10 live. So Chris did play for a living. and I want to be careful in how I say this because it's not my information to divulge, but I do know that he got his fingers in the cookie jar. Not his fault. Something happened. He made an investment and it went pear-shaped, and it left him obviously not in a position where he could really play for a living anymore.
Okay.
So for him, poker then just became something that he was very good at, that he wanted to enjoy with his friends. And that's kind of how he kept it. I think if Chris really wanted to, if Chris had the passion for grinding long hours away from APAT, I think Chris could have quite easily gone on to do phenomenal things in the poker world. But I think he got to that point where he put all that graft in and he was kind of almost back to square one, say, for want of a better decision. And it was, do I do all that again, or do I just go and have fun with my friends, drink lots of beer, have lots of fun with, the APAT crowd and do that? And I mean, you look at his Hendon mob, that's pretty much what he did, bar his GUKPT win in the summer series. That's literally all he did, isn't it?
And tell me, Dan, did any of you guys ever either take coaching or give coaching? Did you ever get involved in that whole sort of, learning piece?
With each other, quite unsurprisingly, there was a lot of theory that went on in our house. It wasn't just debauchery. I learned a lot from Chris and Dave specifically, and Perry actually with PLO, and Simon with mixed games. I knew a little bit about everything, but I was never well versed, and I just had an illness that was FPS, fancy play syndrome. I quite enjoyed just going crazy, but so they did a little bit. I also had coaching, so I don't know if I can mention this company's name anymore.
Yeah, sure. Of course you can. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Remember Bankroll Supply? Remember Bankroll Supply?
Yeah.
What happened to them? Because I haven't heard anything about them in a while. They're not listening, are they? I don't know. What happened to Paul Jackson? Where's he gone? So I just before we had Imogen, I was playing for them. So I was probably playing the highest stakes I've played, and playing the most regularly. And I was selling bits of live action. Somebody on this call took a very, very good piece of live action in me once, just before I had a baby, if I remember rightly. Hi, Leigh.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Hi, Leigh.
I pick and choose my moments. Yeah.
and Des, I have to say, you're probably the only one in APAT that hasn't made lots of money out of me.
Listen, I only invest in losers. I've got a proud record of investing in people who then
have you,
don't win anything.
You've not heard about his Scouse world investment?
No, who did he invest in?
Yeah, well, Scouse and Scouse pretty much, I think, bricked the lot. I don't think. Did he get any cash at all?
I put the death knell into Scouse. I think he might have cashed a couple of times, but small. Yeah, okay. Small. I mean, the minute I get involved, that was it. I knew it was it, but there you go.
I made Irish Tom quite a handsome chunk on an online event as well once.
Nice.
About 3 or 4 grand, I think, off the top of my head. And Matt Dale, his old poker site back in the day used to make us lots of money.
Hence why Matt is now expanding his water sports business to Dubai. I mean, it
doesn't surprise me.
That's what happens. You see, money goes to money. Honestly,
he doesn't stay put very long, does he? That bloke. It's the hair. It just needs to travel. But no. So I was staked and sort of taking coaching. I'll be honest, the coaching I was getting from Bankroll Supply was pretty wishy-washy. I was coached by Ian Simpson, who's now Unibet Pro.
Yeah.
So we're quite a good stable then. So it was me. There's a guy that went on to BitTB, which is Pads' stable, called Ashley. He went up and was playing the nosebleeds. Who else was in that stable? Oh, Adam Neal, aka LNC, who you had, I think, streaming and stuff.
Had on the show the other week. Yeah.
So he was in our stable. Mozza, I don't know if you know who Mozza is, but he used to be a policeman, but now he's in Thailand playing NL 500 with poker. Is it Ginge Poker?
Yeah.
Who's also got APAT caches. So they were our stable. So we're quite a good little stable. And the other one was Bobby. What's his last name? Streams as well. BJP. Bobby, who lives in Isle of. Does he live in Isle of Man with Claudio? Is that her name?
Bobby. Yes.
Bobby.
I know who you're talking about.
Bobby James.
Bobby James.
Oh, Bobby James. We know Bobby. Yeah. You know Bobby.
So that was our little stable. And we had coaching from Ian, which was phenomenal. And then, I don't know what happened with Bankroll Supply. It all went a bit murky. I'm not going to lie.
Were you there at the end, Dan, or were you out before?
No, I got kicked out by then.
Why'd you get kicked out?
So I just played the Worlds, and it was the Worlds in which I came in the 8 game. I had a good year where I cashed quite a bit, but I think I came 11th in the high roller, 6th or 5th maybe in the APAT.
Would have been 2016 London, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember.
5 years ago in London.
That was a great year.
There you go. That was a great year for me, and then I think I final table bubbled the PLO as well. But anywho, I had that. I sorted all my cashes out for that, and then I got moved stables because they basically fired Ian because he was teaching us things like combinatronics and going into quite a lot of detail. And what they wanted at that time, from what I understand, was just absolute base grinders, because I think there was a very interesting deal they had with some of the sites that we were playing on.
Careful now. Careful.
I'm being very careful. And we were also playing live quite easily. I played a lot of £500 tournaments. A lot.
Careful.
A lot of them. I would bust them and they'd go and put me straight back in the queue.
Hold on. I've got Jamie O'Connor on line 1. Jamie's just saying, be careful.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So anyway, I was playing a satellite series and I bust my new mentor in a spot that was, it was a very basic spot in a satellite, and I busted him, and he complained to Paul Jackson, who sent me a lengthy Facebook Messenger message, basically calling me a fucking idiot. And excuse my language, but that's literally the words he used.
Busting one of the team, basically, yeah.
Yeah, in a satellite. So I sent him back a huge email with screenshots of I literally had poker stove up. I took screenshots, ranges, everything. I also showed him my HUD for that player, and I have to say he was an absolute dribbler, all over the place. And I sent all the information. I said, look, think what you think. There's my basis on my and I gave it time. I wasn't an arsehole like I normally am. I was very eloquent, wrote it out nicely because he was the boss. And I basically got a 1-word response or 2-word response to say, you're fired. And that was it. And I never played for them again. So not surprised they aren't around anymore, I'll be honest. But yeah, so that was my time with them. They were an interesting bunch.
Wow. Well, I think they might be in some form or another, but certainly not probably as prominent as they would have been in the past.
I was going to say they were huge. They had a lot of players on their books. But again, I'm so far removed from the world.
What type of deal did you have, Dan? What was your deal with them?
So it was 50% after buy-in, so 50% profit split each month. Okay. And then in these live events, you'd get like 50% on your first buy-in if you were in profit for that month, and then 20% free roll thereafter. So for one weekend, I famously was encouraged, I will hasten to add, to play very aggro, and I think I got through £2,500 worth of buy-ins in 2 days.
Wow. So Simon Lawler's in the chat says they are still around. So Simon is a man in the know. So that's. I mean, what I was going to say, Dan, is so when whatever format these kind of stables and things are still in, do you think is it a fair playing field for amateur and recreational players when you've got these large stables playing in these tournaments and satellites and that kind of thing on whatever site it might be on?
I think, is it fair? Possibly not. Is it something you can combat? Absolutely not. And I think that's the problem. The interesting thing with satellites is there is a proven method on how to play satellites, and I do actually think that if you refuse spots because it's somebody that you know or it's somebody that you have a financial investment with, then actually you're losing equity for both of you long term. And that's actually worse, just due to how chip distribution could be so important in those satellites. In regards to MTTs, well, I just think the likelihood of you guys sitting on a table with one another is so minimal that it's probably not something to worry about. And if you do, again, these tournaments are so top heavy nowadays. Losing giving up EV because it's somebody you know is just, again, it's detrimental to your bottom line. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because like if you and I are at the final table, Leigh, and we both get 50% of what we cash, am I going to give up an edge so you get an extra $100, but that might mean I only get an extra 200, not an extra 1,000? I just don't think. Think it. The people that play these want to win money enough that they don't soft play. I don't believe. I didn't soft play. I couldn't give a shit. Like I was there it was money in my bank at the end of the day, and.
But then Dan, you were fired. How many were fired? That's the question.
Oh wow. There's something wrong with your business model if you're firing somebody like Ian Simpson as a coach, and a mentor. I think. I don't know if you've tuned into him on Twitch or you know much of him, but the stuff he's done for Unibet's phenomenal. I still drop in now and again and sort of catch up with him. He is one of the most down to earth and loyal people I know. And to fire him makes me feel there's something else going.
Well, of course, we would never know why. Those two guys would part company. It could be for any number of reasons. So you give the benefit of the doubt, I guess. But I did see recently that Ian has renewed his. There's another 1-year deal with Unibet. I think that's been agreed now. Also with David Lappin and
Dara as well.
Dara Kearney. Yeah. So it's great for
I'm
right?
still waiting for I'm still waiting for my phone call, but they haven't rang me yet. I don't know why.
Not to be.
So rude. I saw those guys renewed. Davia hasn't, I don't believe. I think she's doing more with GG Poker. I think.
she's moved over to GG.
Yeah, she has literally just got announced about 2 weeks ago that she's partnered up with them. Which is interesting. We'll see what happens.
I have to say the ambassador stuff cracks me up. Just like, I mean, and I'm going to speak freely here. I think Stars are absolutely screwing themselves over. I don't know what Stars' model is, but it's obvious what their model is. They're obviously looking at young Twitch up and comers. But to lose Moneymaker and let him just go to GG, I get that he can play freely. He can play a bit more.
No, he's gone to ACR, I think.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, ACR. To go to ACR, and of course he can play that in America, but there's something not right there. They're losing a lot of their big names, aren't they? I mean,
well, I think they've changed they've simply changed their strategy, Dan. It's like poker just isn't as important for them today as it has been in the past. I mean, they've got a multi-product business now. They're part of a just enormous group. And they've got to find margin in other areas as well. So I think they'll be investing they're much more likely to invest in streamers who can perhaps bring new players in as opposed to, solid pros who show up at events. But, you can show up at an event and be seen by, maybe a couple of thousand people. You can stream online and be seen by 1 million.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because they took this tact 2 years ago. So Pie Face Poker, Mason Pie, his streams titled the mixed games movement, so he only plays mixed games, which is an absolute niche, and what a smart move by that bloke. And then they've also got GJ Reggie, who's a low stakes grinder who started just streaming to 2 or 3 people on a kitchen table playing $1 games, and to be honest hasn't really moved up. She's probably playing sort of up to $11 buy-ins now. So they have got these kind of niches, and then they've got Finton and Spraggy that are the 2 powerhouses. But those streams, I'll be honest, the smaller streams, even though I've not been playing poker, I've still been watching stuff on Twitch and keeping my ear to the ground because it's it's an interest of mine. And Pi and GJ still only get 200 to 300 views tops, simultaneous tops. They've tried putting them together as a duo, presenting on stuff. They've tried having them separate. And they're not getting that reach that the rest of them are getting. So it'll be interesting to see if they do add anybody, because they've also lost OP Poker, which was, I don't know if you know, Nick and so on and so forth, that would focus on the specialist games, so the Grand Tour and all this crazy silly games they invented to make poker more fun. And they used to get sort of 1 to 2K views. So they've lost sort of a 2,000 viewer platform daily and not replaced it with anything. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that.
Yeah, what do you think is the most important thing to cracking it, or to doing a job that you'd be happy with yourself on Twitch? Is it that you're a name and therefore can attract an audience just through your name alone, but actually your content might be crap? Or is it that you've got somebody big behind you who can spend money marketing, doing a bit of SEO and doing all of that good stuff to get your name out there? Or do you think can really good content, unique style, that sort of thing, can that develop an audience? I mean, which route would you go down, Dan, if you had the opportunity to pick door A, B, C, or D, whatever D might be?
Oh, Des, I'm inherently lazy, so you're giving me an easy way out. I think the key now with the pool and how saturated it is would probably be C. You need something a little bit unique. So, for example, there's a streamer from New Zealand, Imagine, who just has these crazy little graphics that pop up on screen when he's doing things. It will zoom into certain aspects and the screen will change color, and it's almost like movie-esque, for want of a better description, and that's really interesting. I think you can have the marketing, that's great, but you still need the product. It's such a saturated market. Let's look at the big players, Lex, Spraggy, and Finton, which ironically are all stars streamers, but to pull their viewers away is going to be very, very difficult unless you've got something absolutely unique.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is, because I'm not too sure there's anything left. I almost feel like Twitch Poker's full. It's got all the different types of things, and I can't think of anything that's innovative that's going to draw people away. So with that in mind, I think you just have to do the groundwork, have some good content, use social media in the right aspect. So I think YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all of those other avenues are huge for Twitch now. If you've got a good video editor behind you and you can knock up some really good clips of your content from Twitch onto YouTube to broaden your sort of scope, then that's the way forward. Same as TikTok. TikTok is absolutely, I know this from doing the podcast, I get more interaction on my podcast stuff on TikTok for people that have never ever thought of the West Country Waffle, name drop, than the people that actually actively follow my social media for it. So yeah, you need to have something new, and you need to have something innovative, and I'm not sure there's too much left. I think we're saturated personally, which is why I tune in on Saturday. I put on what I want to put on. I play the games I want to play. I listen to the music I want to listen to. And if I get 2 people come in and say, hey, that's fine. If I get 100 people, that's fine as well. I'm not stressed about it. I'm not going to make money out of it. I'm not here to blow the world away. Eventually APAT will give me a deal, but until that happens, I'm just chilling.
Well, listen, I'll let you in on a secret, Dan. I'll let you in on a secret. Leigh and I sat down about 9 months ago and we said, right, what if we can produce a show and we're going to do 100 of them, right? How can we produce all of that content without actually talking about poker? Right? How, are we going to be able to do that? And I think we've not done a bad job of it. We've probably spent about 5% of our time actually talking about poker. We've spent about 35% talking about Donald Trump, about 25% talking about football, probably about 50% talking about COVID, and about 5% talking about poker. We've shortchanged the members, Leigh. But they've stuck with us.
Yeah. No, to be fair, they seem to just understand what they're getting now. We still get the odd person that will come onto the show on a Sunday night and go, what's going
Can
on?
You put a table up?
You're not talking about the poker. We're heads up.
It's going quickly.
This Sunday roller.
It's not that we don't watch it. We watch it. We just don't talk about it.
No, so quick shout out to Mark Redshaw, who started this. This could be over. This could be all over. Actually,
that's a flop.
We've got to have another hand or two. But so Mark Redshaw, who started this final table as the short stack, laddered himself all the way up to 3rd place in the end, and $343. So well done to him. Our stud world champion, Joris, finished in 4th for $238. Tim Magnus in 5th for $185. So well done to those guys. Lewis Toubib was the first one out. He picked up just shy of $100. So anyway, there's 2 left in this now. It's Andre Tin against Michael Bock, and they're playing for a difference here of about $210 between.
Can we talk about Michael Bock limping off a 15 blind big big blind stack?
Go
heads
for it.
up.
Go for
Ironically, we talked about Bock being a great name for poker, but even we, the APAT Show, weren't able to Bock Michael because he's still in.
Yeah, we're normally quite good at bocking people the minute we mention them. That's for sure.
Yeah, interesting strategy. I think with what we got, how many big blinds are at the table? 70 or 15 big blinds. I think you're in a spot there where you can pretty much you can be quite aggressive in your ranges to shove there because it's the chip leader has such a narrow range where they can call, because obviously if you lose the flip, you're almost even stacked, and then your equity is massively compared. So interesting to see him limp, but do you know what? He's second. He's going to win some money. I'm sat here talking to you two winning no money. So he knows more than I do. So go on, Mr. Bob.
What I should say here is Andre Tin was already top of the weekly leaderboard for the 7 p.m. games before tonight.
Wow. Awesome.
So, yeah, he's had a great week all in all. So very well done to him. Whether he finishes first or second here.
So does that mean he wins like a speedboat?
Yeah, pretty much. So, but he wins a bit of Dez's Ferrari.
Yeah,
which is, we've been giving away just bits of Dez's Ferrari for the past 9 months, so it's been good.
They've just been giving away my dreams, Dan. Giving away my dreams.
At least you've got dreams, sir. At least you've got them.
The dreams that I do have do not include Ferraris. I will just confirm that.
Yeah, wouldn't be my first choice. I'll be honest.
So how many nights a week? How many nights a week are you streaming at the moment? Then, Dan, just on a Saturday night, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, Saturday's regular. I try and get a little bit more in, but to be honest, yeah, the kids don't like sleeping at the moment. They're in that routine, so I'd rather not commit to something and have to, not do it, if that makes sense. So it's on a Saturday. It tends to be a bit of poker. After poker, we tend to play a bit of Among Us, which is obviously that huge craze online.
Yeah.
But Among Us is great fun. I did think actually how funny it would be to play a game of Among Us with the Gotham lot. That would be hilarious. The level of banter would be interesting. And then play some other bits. It's just, do you know what? I'll be honest. We can laugh and we can joke about it, but lockdown's been hard for a lot of people. I think we can safely agree that it's a very unusual situation that the world's in, and everybody's having to navigate it slightly differently.
Yeah.
And for me, it just came as a nice little safe space. I'm sure there'll be listeners out there that can sort of this resonate with, but I live at home with my 2 children and my wife and my dog, you know, and all the washing and shit that you can see in the background. But it's actually probably the loneliest I've been because Hannah works full time. I'm with the kids full time. You know, it's like you can have a lot of people around you, but still feel very isolated, I guess.
Yeah.
So for me, the stream was just a safe space where I could just chill out with whoever wanted to come in. I don't even have to know these people, for God's sake, you know. And some of them are quite good friends now. Some of them come and go, but it just gave everybody, and that's what I wanted it to be. Anybody can pop in and have a safe space to say what they want. I mean, I've got some absolute trolls that come in my stream, Des, and I don't even ban them. I just let them have a go. They're talking about the size of my bits and everything. And I'm like, do you know what? You're in. You're a viewer. Come in. You're fine. The water's safe.
You're sure that's not your wife, no? From her office, sort of, you know, at work. Just complaining.
I'll tell you this now, Des. If she wanted to talk about my bits, I wouldn't be streaming, would I? Well, maybe on Chatterbait or another one of those dodgy sites I've never been to, but not on Twitch. But yeah, so it's just a fluid, safe space for people to pop in. I've had a couple of APATers pop in actually and say hello, which is quite nice.
Good. Well, I mean, make sure you get that address in the chat box, Dan, right? Because anybody who watches this stream on demand, and you know, a lot of people do watch these things after the event. They'll see it at this point in the stream. Type in the address.
I will do that on your behalf for you, Dan.
Yeah, I don't.
So tell me about the podcast. You mentioned it. And I was going to bring it up in conversation, but obviously you've given it a quick name check. But I've listened to a few of them, and I find them quite entertaining.
Is this Waffle Woo? Waffle Woo? What's Waffle Woo? Have I just made that up?
Waffle Woo sounds like a dish you'd get from a really bad Chinese restaurant.
I've completely made that up. Where did I get that from?
I have no idea, mate.
You just can't get the research staff. I'm telling you.
That'll be because so the podcast is called the West Country Waffle.
Waffle West.
Hosted,
there we go.
Yeah, Waffle West is the Twitter name because West Country Waffle have been already taken. I don't know by who. Yeah. So West Country Waffle, it's just a podcast. Myself and my friend John. John is a stand-up comedian by trade who obviously, given the time that we're in, has fallen on some tougher times. So we decided. So I've known John since we were born. So we grew up in a little town called Tewkesbury in Gloucestershire. And yeah, we've known each other all our life. So we've been through some crazy stories, some crazy situations. And it's just a weekly podcast in which we get together and talk about the most random variety of topics.
Oh, great.
Discuss them until we're blue in the face, disagree about them, tend to moan about life in general. And yeah, and that's it. It's quite, people seem to think it's relatively funny, which is good because if it wasn't, it would be pointless. But yeah, so it's a weekly podcast. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the episodes we've done. So we've got an episode on 90s goalkeepers. We've got an episode which, okay, I'm going to throw this out there. An audience, you can put this. 90s goalkeepers, David Seaman or Peter Schmeichel, who wins? I mean,
Seaman,
Leigh?
Well, probably Schmeichel, actually.
Oh, Schmeichel every day.
Yeah,
every
probably.
day.
Yeah.
I'll let, if any of the listeners want to put their point in and we'll have a look. But me and John argued on that for a good 45 minutes.
Beautiful. Love that.
Which was good. But yeah, I mean, it's just us taking on all of the thing. And it's interesting because it's two old men approaching their 40s, still arguing about the stuff we were arguing about when we were 15.
Wow.
So yeah, and you can. It's all over the place. It's on iTunes. Don't know why they let us on there. That sounds official, doesn't it? It's on Spotify. You can find it everywhere. West Country Waffle. We're 15 episodes in already, and they haven't turned us off. So that's good. And there is one
fantastic.
about there is one. There's one about the sex as well. Shh.
Sex. What the hell is sex?
All about sex.
Really?
We don't, that's one subject we don't really talk about on the APAT show.
Well, there is an episode all about it, so you can listen to that.
What episode number is that?
Rude. That's number 12. Number 12.
I'm going to go straight to 12. There's no point going through the rest of the waffle. Straight into number 12.
We follow it up with the humble potato episode where we talk about the best way to cook and eat a potato. So you can see the variety of topics.
Frankly, that's better than sex as far as I'm concerned. We go straight to the potato episode. That's what I'm thinking. No, I mean, that keeps it really fresh and interesting for both of you, doesn't it? I mean, to just sit down and, just have a bit of crossover chat about almost anything. I mean, that's sort of what we do, really.
Yeah.
We just chat about stuff.
Dan, we've got you a new subscriber.
Really?
His name's Stephen Forte, and you are welcome to him. Congratulations.
I'll say that.
He's a fellow Man United fan, and went to school in Ledbury and played cricket in Tewkesbury. Lived in Gloucester for 2 years, so he said, "I'm in."
I live in Gloucester. Stephen Forte.
Fortey.
Has he got a Hendon mob? That's the only way I'll find him.
Well, he's a poker player, so I'd imagine he's got an impressive Hendon mob. I don't think I've ever looked him up on Hendon mob, actually.
No.
Stephen Forte. Well, ask him. Where does he live in Gloucester? Ask him. You
can ask him. It's how this works. Yeah, he's listening to us, so you can just kind of ask. It's really good.
Where do you live in Gloucester? Before I start insulting any of the places locally, where do you live? Let me know.
Billy Johnston is out there providing the only comedy that we tend to have on the APAT show. He says, sex is the number sex in Ballymena, surely. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think that's what he means. That's about as close as I get to Billy, I have to say. And as for Leigh, doesn't get a look in. Not with that hair. Just not getting a look in.
No. So let me give you a quick summary on where we ended up with the APAT Sunday roller. So Andre Tin picked up the $700. Michael Bott finished in second in the end. That means, by my calculations, the top 5 that will pick up the tickets this week: Andre Tin, Don Logan, Sergey Peremetov, Louis Tabib, and Tiona. Oh goodness me, Chafichaz. Anyway, well done. That's going to be my effort. That one.
Sorry, I thought you were clearing your throat there. Sorry.
Oh, seriously,
we do our best. We really do.
We had some beauties during the Worlds. Trying to get pronunciations right on there, and of course it's very difficult when you've got real names, which is great, but you've got no way of sometimes being able to get hold of players to find out, and we had sort of all sorts of acrylic, spelling of stuff and trying to get translations, and we had a lot of fun. It's great expanding the APAT world and getting new players in, but at the same time it brings its own awkwardness when it comes to commentating at times.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but we're down to 5 in the deep stack. So
shit, is there something else to look at?
Shall we? Let me put that up.
Going in that
deep stack. 5 left. Right, let's see. Is my mate still in? No,
he bust. Unfortunately, he bust in 15th. Got in the money just, but he's Barry Simpson's departed. So
Ellen Gascoigne,
Stephen Forty says no Hendon. No, I can't believe Stephen Forty's not got a Hendon mob.
Did he tell us where he lives yet, or is he embarrassed?
No, he hasn't said exactly. Oh, he lived in Barnwood, but not now, obviously.
Where does he live now? Then I'm confused.
Oh, he lived in Gloucester for 2 years. He just says he's not there.
Oh,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In
Gloucester,
Barnwood. It's not your.
Is that where the cheese rolling?
Do you know what? So I run up and down that hill. Well,
I love that.
So the cheese rolling hill is literally 5 minutes from my house. So I run.
Kidding me? I saw a documentary on that.
The hill below.
I saw a documentary on the Netflix. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
so the girl, she broke her collarbone. She still went and won it the following year. I mean, insane. Yeah. It looks incredible. Have you? I mean, I'm going to assume you've gone and watched it, Dan, right?
No,
What?
Not interested in that. Why?
Really?
Why would I'm going to say this, and you're going to be surprised, possibly, or maybe you won't. But I don't like people, Des. People piss me off. I'm not going to lie.
But that seems to be a great place to go if people piss you off, because there's a lot of people who get themselves into a lot of pain.
Yeah, but right. Just picture this. It's 5 minutes from my house, and I run when I was training for my marathons and ultra marathons and whatever else. I run up there. I've ran up the face of it. So the face you obviously run down, the real steep face.
Yeah.
I've ran up the other side. I run around it a lot. So for me to go there and it's peaceful and it's quiet, and I can stand, and I run because I like not people being around me, obviously. And I get to see all the views of Gloucester and Hereford and Worcester. Yeah. It's beautiful. I don't want to be there when there's loads of people there that are just, and I'm not going to lie, most of the people that go are chaps and like annoying.
It's because they're bloody tourists, aren't they? They've come down to watch the cheese rolling.
I'm not interested. And to be honest, if I've got cheese, I'm not rolling it, I'm eating it. So no, I've
Listen,
never been.
If you want to talk cheese, Leigh is your man, right? I can tell you that for a fact. Leigh is the man.
What's your favorite cheese, Leigh?
We did a cheese round on our Friday night quiz a couple of weeks ago. So when I posted it,
what's your favorite cheese?
My favorite cheese. I'm not a massive huge cheese fan.
You're not a massive huge cheese, are you not?
No. I'm a quite plain sort of decent cheddar. Quite happy with that. Don't really go anything too crazy.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to listen to the sex episode, Leigh. It's going to be a bit too exciting for you, I think. You might have a
Go straight to the potato episode, Leigh. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I kid you not. Last night, Sean and I were lying in bed talking about your bloody cheese quiz.
Really?
I kid you, and you're going to know this, right? But we're just talking. Right?
Sorry, Des. If you're doing that, you should not listen to the sex episode.
No. It's like. Look, when Shannon and I, it's like an episode of the APAT Show. We can be talking about almost anything. And now I've just discovered. I don't know if either of you guys have tried it yet. Clubhouse, which is amazing, right? It's just. Yeah, it's the audio.
Yeah,
so it's audio stuff, right? There's no video or anything, but it's just people talking about absolutely everything in a somewhat educated way, right? That's the way it's presented anyway. So it's really interesting just to click on a conversation and listen to it for 5 minutes. It's hilarious. But for some reason we were talking about, because I think I might have said to her, oh, you said you didn't recognize any of the cheeses in Leigh's quiz. I mean, I know I'm crap at cheeses, but, Jesus, Sean, you got to know some cheeses, right? And She knew a few. I only knew Pac-Man, who was number 9. You just threw a likeness. I'm not even sure that's a cheese, though.
That was Brie. That was Brie.
That was Brie, was it?
Yeah.
Can I be asked any of these cheese questions live on air to know where I sit, or is this not
Right,
possible?
yeah.
No,
I've got
it's a picture thing, so it might be a bit tricky to do. Live
Blue
on air.
bag,
okay.
blue bag, Walker's on the front.
Cheese
Cheese
and
and
onion.
onion. Boom.
Yeah.
You're in.
So just got to give quick shout out to Andre Tin who won the Sunday roller he's from Kazakhstan. He's just posted up in the chat. Nice tournaments, nice community, and a nice show with a thumbs up. Took it down. Yeah, very well done to you, Andre. $700 tonight, and also we'll be sorting the extra ticket for you as well.
Do you know, Leigh, when Andre was down to 3 or 4 in his event?
Oh,
you know what I'm going to say here, right? When his event in the WCAP, he was down to the last 3 or 4, and somebody noted, it wasn't me, but somebody noted that, I can't remember who our guest was that night, that Andre was from Kazakhstan. And of course, we had a little bit of Borat discussion, and the bet was put on that I would have to wear a mankini and do some sort of singing of the Kazakhstan anthem. Should Andre win? And luckily, Andre was listening in that night, and he gave up the tournament. Right, he deliberately didn't win it to save me having to find a mankini in my dressing room. Right now, and I've got some mankinis in there. You would at my age, but that was a close call, and he's become a good friend of the show.
So he picked up a silver medal. It was the PLO championship.
PLO, very good.
That medal should have left the UK last week and on its way to him in Kazakhstan. So
fantastic,
awesome.
I mean, that's amazing.
Des, did you budget for all of these international medals?
Well, it's deeply troubling. I have to say, what we need to do after this whole thing is to get Leigh to do one of his famous APAT meeting little animations. You know, the APAT meeting that discusses all of the extra medals and postage costs. Because for the first week, certainly, they were going to Brazil, they were going to Canada, they were going all over the place. There was none going to the UK.
We did have a little bit of a panic on. I must admit, I think the first one went to Brazil, the second one went to Canada, and the third one was Russia. And we're thinking, oh, this is getting ridiculous.
Were you sat there going, please don't register on the site, please don't register on the site?
Yeah.
No, we're having a laugh.
It was okay. Luckily, Wales won the team event, so we were okay. That was 4 just going.
Yeah, I saw that Ireland had an unchanged team for the 11th year. I mean, how are you attracting people from Kazakhstan, but yet you can still only get 4 old codgers from Ireland together? What is that about?
They're a special team. You see, we know it's like the lottery when you play the same numbers week after week after week after week for years and years and years. They're going to come good at some point, right? You don't want to change them. Don't change them. I'll tell you what, Jamie O'Connor, did I mention Jamie? Jamie got to the final table of the main event last time out, and I looked at his name and I said, right, Jamie's Irish. Okay, we're playing the Irish national anthem if he wins this main event. At which point some evidence came in from the chat box, from his dad, I think, that actually he was a Yorkshire man. So
and he's also
get that.
He's also not an amateur, I don't think. So
hold on, sorry, sorry, I've lost you, Dan. I've lost you.
Dan, originally he's from Pontefract in Wales.
That's in Wales.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, let's be honest. Can we just put this out here? The history of the team events for these countries is pointless. You can put together whatever team you want. What you do know is
not
this.
True. That is not true.
Ireland might as well stay at the bar. England could have the best team in it. They're never gonna win, and the only time they get close is when they put a terrible team in. And then Wales doesn't matter. You could put my dog in, and Wales would still win. Push them chips forward, turn his card, and it doesn't matter what.
Dear. I'm putting the camera back on us, guys. There we go.
And there you go. They would win. So that's all you need to know about the team event.
That's a fairly accurate summary
of the team event, I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the last year I looked at the team event. I think you had Paresh as captain, or Paresh played for Team England.
Have you heard?
Paresh was for.
Have you heard about Paresh though? It's like he stepped up. He's become a Premier League poker player. I mean, he's had some big results online.
Yeah, really
Paresh
big.
has.
Yeah.
I mean, big results.
He was playing big stuff back in the day. So when we first met him, he was playing 10-20, I think. He was playing live cash PLO. Wow. He was playing big games in London. Do
you remember? I mean, he'd turn up at Asper's in a suit because he's just obviously coming from work. So I don't know whether he was a trader or whatever, but
I think he was a trader or a banker or something. He had a lot of money.
Lovely guy. Yeah. The quietest, loveliest guy though you could come across. But he was Perry's biggest competitor for those PLO bracelets back in the day. I think the two of them would come up and you'd sort of know that they were going to final and be sort of looking out for each other. Big news this week, gents. Big news. Full Tilt, RIP. So PokerStars have announced that Full Tilt, whose doors were still open, believe it or not, will close its doors apparently in October. So Full Tilt will be a thing of the absolute past a little later this year.
In October? I don't know why I saw a date.
I thought it was October.
No, I saw a date saying the 25th of February.
Oh, really?
Literally
well, that would make more sense. I have to say that would make more sense than what I've just said, because the announcement
is not for the first time, but that's
absolutely, absolutely.
Still the best poker skin that's ever existed.
Back in the day,
still
incredible
the best poker skin. Yeah, loved it.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because obviously Stars bought it, so they've still got this amazing software that actually probably even now is probably still better than quite a few of the other companies' software offerings that are out there. Of course, they're not going to sell it to them and let anybody else use it, but you'd have thought somebody would be able to replicate that. It amazes me when you see some of the poker skins that put out their software, and you think, well, you've got what you need to do. It's already there for you. You just need to replicate what Stars or Full Tilt did, and then tweak where necessary. But it's not. Doesn't appear to be a straightforward thing to do.
I remember for a while when Stars bought Full Tilt, because you could still log in via the Full Tilt client and play. It was just the same tournament. I logged on Full Tilt and not Stars for a very long time.
Yeah, it was like a network.
Was just so much. Yeah, it was so much cleaner. But it's interesting. So I've played a bit on a couple of smaller sites, and I have to say, software. I feel like software hasn't, like the big sites have moved on, and everybody else is still shit. Excuse my French.
No.
I'll tell you where the best software.
It's what the players complain about the most, isn't it? It is the biggest gripe of poker players.
But that's because the majority of
ever existed.
The best.
What's the best? What do you think the best software that ever existed is?
Oh, I don't know.
Personally, I'm going to give you a clue. You guys used it for a while.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we were let's go through them. We had PokerStars, obviously, in season 1. We had Blue Square in 2 and 3. Then we had a mix of the British Tier 1s on iPoker. It's obviously not going to be any of them. We had 888, which would have been a different one. Outside of that, I'm trying to think. Did we have anybody?
Well, we were on MPN for a while, weren't we?
But that was with Grosvenor, right?
Yeah.
It's not that.
Who have we been on for a while then? Who was
it? How can you forget Matt Dale's Poker.co.uk IPN network? Best software that ever existed.
Oh yeah, well we owned that.
Yeah. So how did you forget
that? How can we remember that?
How did you?
Yeah, we did. We owned it. We ran it as a room. Simple. We had an APAT room for a year, 2 years.
I mean, Simon Lawler says Tribeca.
I think you go back to Paradise or, some of those very early sites.
I was thinking, but what I think you find is the sites that were just pure poker were the ones that really, managed. The minute you start trying to throw everything else, even Stars now, you log on to Stars now and it's like, what is going on here? It's like some sort of,
Did you sell?
Thing.
I don't. Can I mention the thing that Leigh once did that rhymes with High Society on here? Is that allowed?
That Leigh did that rhymes with High Society.
Yeah, I just wondered if you'd sold it to Stars because their front page, the rail, looks very much like
Pokeriety.
Pokeriety. Yeah, don't you think it just resembles your?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah. No, unfortunately, I didn't.
Stars copied Leigh. That's what's happened there.
Sounds about right. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, but it's subjective though, and it's sometimes it's hard to draw poker players out as to what really was the best software they ever played with because every piece of software comes with baggage. right? It just does.
No, of
you know,
course it
mentally does. it just does. Because every piece of software scars every player at one point or other, and you always remember your defeats as opposed to your wins. I
think for me with IPN, it did very little because it was so basic. It did very little, but what that meant as a poker player is it just did everything you needed. Everything was clear. It was very hard to misclick or to misread what was going on. You didn't have fucking arrows and poos and stuff flying with your avatar and all this. You didn't even have an avatar.
I have to say, personally, over the years, you know, having been involved in a few rooms and having played at a few rooms, I'd still probably say, you know, over my time in the space, PokerStars, for me, was the best. It was where I enjoyed playing poker the most, but that would have been going back now. You know, they've obviously changed direction to a degree since the early days. But the biggest challenge that a lot of the people that we worked with had was that poker was part of a multi-product offer, and you know, sportsbook was always about acquiring players, and you cross-sell them into casino. Casino was about making margin. So poker was always going to be at the bottom of the list as far as resources and investment was concerned. It's just the way it was. It was different for PokerStars for quite a while, different for Party Poker for quite a while. And Party Poker, it seems like, you know, within Intane or GVC, call it what you will, the Party Poker guys do seem to have some, you know, freedom, some independence, which is really helpful. But ultimately, they're still part of a multi-product business. And that's a challenge. That's a big challenge when developing a product is concerned.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, with any of them, it's obviously you can, you know, they've got the ability to switch off different products and try and focus in on the poker. But I think the minute Stars went away from it being purely poker, and I think that was the time when Vicky Corrin said enough's enough, wasn't it? And she dropped off her deal. I think predominantly because she felt it wasn't, you know, their focus was elsewhere.
I listened to a brilliant interview with Rafi Ashkenazi, who was the CEO of PokerStars, probably from about, I'm going to say 2010 or 2011 up to maybe a year ago. So he went from Playtech. He was the CEO of Playtech. Then he went into PokerStars. And he said for the first couple of years, it was still very poker orientated. But when it was bought by Amaya, the Canadian business, they really, you know, that was all about, and they listed it as a public business in Canada. Then the strategy became all about, you know, how can we diversify into different products and increase the value of PokerStars in that way. And I think they've struggled with that mission ever since. You know, you had BetStars and, you know, casino became a big thing. And then they bought Skybet. And they bought some big Australian businesses, and then they were bought by Flutter. So, you know, it's just been a very challenging last 10 years for PokerStars, I think.
Sounds like you've worked in that industry before, Des.
Oh, I tell you what, I enjoyed it, but it's never nice being the bottom of the pile as far as resources are concerned. And, you know, I've only ever worked for multi-product operators. So you were always really having to fight hard to get your man hours to develop feature A, B, and C, because the sports betting guys, the casino guys always had similar requirements. So when you do your return on investment analysis, you know, you were seldom seeing as much gain out of poker as you would from these other products. So, but fun, you know, great period to be working in digital. You know, it was what you would call the early years, which was good. Cool. Very cool.
I remember once years back, I had a job interview for Ladbrokes Poker. And this was back when, what was her name? Remember Carl Marlenholms or whatever his name was he was part of the
Carl Marlenholtz. Yeah.
With
Marlenholtz. Yeah.
What's his wife called? Amy.
Yeah. She's in the industry today. She's a senior marketing person with one of the B2B businesses, I believe.
Yeah, I had an interview with her way back when. Yeah, for Ladbrokes. She was working at Ladbrokes at the time. That was 15 years ago, maybe. But I turned it down because I didn't want to move to London. So I don't know why I bothered going. Really, you'd
have ended up in. I think they were up in Harrow from memory. Yeah, way up in the north of London.
Where do you see poker going, Dan? I mean, you've obviously been about about the game for a long, long time. You know, do you see it changing much from where it is now in the next 5 years or so?
I don't know really. I can't say I've put much thought into it. I think COVID's going to have a massive knock-on effect. I think live poker is going to really struggle. I think there'll be a boom as soon as we kind of get out of this crazy time that we're in. But I think a lot of industries, and it's the same with all companies, isn't it, really? I think they've realized that there's a different way that they need to operate and a different way that they can save money. And I just can't imagine the casino product of poker. We already knew it was kind of, like Des said, bottom of the pile. I did a bit of work with casinos in Bristol, organizing things and stuff and sort of helping out. And that was always the last thing they thought of. And rightly so, because it makes the least amount of money. The rake is the rake, and that's pretty much it. But I just can't, I can't foresee another boom. I think it's going to teeter off. I think live poker bar festival stuff, I think is really going to will probably not come back in the same level.
You mean like the kind of the nightly local games and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
There won't be as much demand for that. It'll be more the bigger one-off kind of.
I think you'll have the big festivals. I think cash games it would make sense for cash games to move more private. Which is a bit dodgy, obviously, not what Des wants to hear, but I just can't. I think casinos are going to lose resource and lose manpower, right? And where are they going to lose it from? The card room or from the craps table? You know, I can't see any businesses that are really going to flourish.
I think one thing you've got to bear in mind, poker has been around for 100 years and it'll be around for another 100 years. And, you know, sometimes, you know, when managements change and business reorganizes and stuff, sometimes they forget that poker brings footfall. It brings traffic, right? And the skill is in how you cross-sell the other products to a poker player, because they double the lifetime value of a poker player. So a poker player that plays a little bit of casino, plays a little bit of sports book, you know, is infinitely more valuable than a poker player who doesn't play those other things, because poker is raked at 10%, whatever it might be. Therefore, you know, the house is never going to win, you know, anything significant at poker. It's about the cross sell. So I think, you know, I think poker will be around for a long time. I think they'll continue to reinvent the game and make it more interesting. But ultimately it'll come down to that cross sell, because that's where the value will be driven from. So I hate to see poker players cross-sold into casino products, because that's quite at odds to me, to what a poker player should want to play, you know, from a skill-based game background. But maybe there's some other games that will be developed in time that are a little more skill-based, that can, you know, add value and be interesting for a poker player to play. I think that's where the longevity will come from in poker.
And if it doesn't, just go and play craps. It's great fun.
It's fun, but it's not great for your bankroll.
I play craps with all of the Gotham lot, and I still don't know how to play it. And the amount of hours we punted that, but money kept coming back and then kept going away, and I felt like I was getting some value. So, you know, we're the only group of poker players I know that would literally sit around a craps table and leave our chips dwindling away in the tournament, because our equity was much bigger
at the craps table.
Oh, the amount of money that was going on there, because the only person that knew how to play it was Ian Witt. So Ian would just be like, just put that money there, just put that money there. I'm not sure he knew how to play it well, but he knew how to play it. And everybody just be shoving money. So and the problem with craps is some spins are just nothing, aren't they? You're waiting for something to happen. You just end up with more and more money invested, and
Listen, talking about money, and we haven't discussed this yet, and we need to discuss this.
I haven't got any.
Tell us about your pool background. A very, very, you know, experienced pool player.
Whistle stop.
Did you play snooker as well, Dan? I mean, where did your pool background come from?
So basically my dad played pool and is still quite influential in the world of UK pool. So he set up the Gloucestershire County pool team, when I was very, very young. But I come from a separated home, so when I was 16, I moved in with my dad, and I wanted to impress him, and the only thing he liked doing was smoking and playing pool. So I didn't want to smoke, so I played some pool. So sort of slowly but surely got a bit better, and then got very good quickly out of nowhere, and sort of continued it on. So I played at university. I'm very fortunate to represent England at university level, and then. Yeah, just carried on playing. I used to travel around the country playing pool. So I'd go in a normal week for me would be I'd drive to Bristol from Gloucester, which is probably a 45-minute drive for one frame of pool, just one single frame. I'd play in a couple of different money leagues throughout the week, and then I'd go to the tour events at weekends and stuff. So yeah, I used to play quite a bit. I haven't played since we had children. The last game of pool I played was probably 6 years ago, maybe. I don't even know where my pool cue is. I think my brother's got it somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, we used to play.
I tell you, it would be a very cool scene to be involved in now, because with the streaming and everything else, I mean, it's so, they can do a really good job of it, I have to say.
So so my old man bought a snooker club.
I remember that,
6 years ago.
Yeah.
So he bought a local snooker club. I went and ran it for a year. Then we had a little bit of a Barney, me and him. I say a Barney, he basically started shagging one of the members and sold some of the club to her, which was a bit of a weird situation. So I've not spoken to him since, actually. So if he's listening, hi, Dad, I've got 2 kids. You've got 2 grandkids. Hope you're well. But anyway, I'd settle that up. So we had money tables and matches, and we'd live stream matches from there. So I'm a qualified referee. I was a qualified referee as well. So we sort of put all the technology in there. I made a match room for pool, and we didn't have huge money matches. Probably, I think the biggest one we held in there when I was there was a 12 grand pot, so $6 a man. But the big ones, God, they're like 150k a man with side bets and everything in the pool world.
Wow.
But yeah, so we had some quite big ones in there. But that's where the money is in pool. There's absolutely no money in the sort of competitive side. Yeah. So if you win the world championships of pool, if you're on world number 1, which Mark Selby, the snooker player, famously won 2012, 13, whatever it was, £10,000.
Yeah.
Which is, in snooker, that's what you get just for qualifying for the worlds.
Yeah.
Probably less than that. So there's not a lot of money in it. So the big players, the big pros have either gone to China to play Chinese 8-ball, or of just play money matches, and that's literally the scene.
The pool used to be a big. Was it the Moscone Cup?
Still going, Leigh.
So the Moscone Cup still goes.
That was kind of the big thing that was on TV that people would probably most of when they talk about pool.
Yeah. So 8-ball was never big for TV. So Sky Sports had it for a while. Played the World Championships. Only know that because a lot of the team that I played in as like a local team all played for the Welsh team, because obviously Gloucestershire's so close to Wales. A lot of the young Gloucestershire County players that I grew up with were actually all Welsh, and they ended up playing in the Welsh men's team. So I know played with a couple of world champions and a couple of big names, but it wasn't exciting enough. So then they changed the rule set. So they changed things around to stop people. You might remember this, Des, playing pool in a pub where if you couldn't do anything, you just tap the white ball up to your ball and just leave it really close.
Yeah.
Well, they took that out. They changed the rule set so that wasn't a legal shot anymore to try and make the game a bit more exciting. And they even did a 1-frame shootout on Sky Sports where you had to do local qualifiers. And then I think there were 12 people at the finals, and the final was a pool table, but it looked like a pub. So it had a blue cloth with yellow and red balls on it instead of the normal color set. And everybody was stood in a cage. It was on Sky Sports. All the players that had qualified were stood in a cage, and randomly, it was like winner stays on. But you had to be the last person to win the money, which was like, say, 15, 20 grand. I can't remember what it was now. So obviously, if you got drawn out first, you had to beat everybody to win the money. Whereas if you were the last one drawn, you just had to win the last frame.
Not the worst game of killer I think I've ever heard.
Honestly,
pretty sick.
It was. And the only way you'd get like a life is if, say, I played you and I broke and cleared up and you didn't even have a shot, then you could do that back to me. But that was it. But basically, the final frame was 2 guys playing on the black for 15, 20k or whatever it was. But again, they tried to make it exciting, and it just English pool isn't exciting. 9-ball's very exciting, which is why there's loads of coverage in it. And snooker's not exciting, but we all know snooker's not exciting. Therefore,
snooker's hard.
Right.
That's a serious skill
Snooker
game.
is hard, yeah. I'll be honest, I've probably played 30 frames of snooker in my life, and I owned a snooker club, for God's sake. So
yeah,
I'm not one to talk. I don't have a particularly big break, I don't think. I mean, Des is probably going to roll out and tell us he's had a century or two now, but
no centuries. I probably had a 60 something maybe in my time. But
That's
I remember in the late 80s spending a lot of time around snooker when I first came to England at Ilford Snooker Club. And I remember seeing Ronnie O'Sullivan there as a 10-year-old. I knew his dad before he went to prison for murder. And I knew the likes of Ken Doherty and some of the Irish players. I used to travel up on the 86 bus from went Romford to Ilford with Ken when he just came over to, he was a big name in Ireland at the time, but he was only 17 or 18. I remember traveling to Bournemouth for the World Team Cup with Eugene Hughes one time with my brother and one or two others. So yeah, I remember being around the scene at the time. Never particularly good, but I really enjoyed the game.
We've got there's a lot of snooker around in Gloucestershire, actually. So Dominic Dale is famously from there. I signed him. He joined my gym. 6 months ago. He is the weirdest bloke I've ever met, Dominic Dale. Very odd. But he sort of came in really sheepish, not wanting to speak, with this big duffel bag. And then when we were signing him, I got one of my members of staff to sign him up to the gym and stuff. And he was like, do you know who I am? And I went, yeah, you're Dominic Dale. He went, oh, right. So I play snooker. I went, well, I wouldn't call it playing, but yeah, you're right. But I played with Judd Trump. So one of the first frames of snooker I ever played, I was at university in Bristol, and there was a little snooker club called Pot Black on Fishponds Road. And me and all the pool team, because I set up the university pool scene, and we went down to this snooker club, and they had a snooker tournament on for charity. And it was only like £1 or something to enter. So we all entered. None of us could play snooker really. And I remember getting there, and they'd all played their games, and they're playing these old boys, 60s, 70s, can barely hit a ball. And they've all got through the first round, and I'm last to play, captain Billy Big Bollocks as I am. And I look at the board, I've got this kid called Judd Trump. And this little 10-year-old walks
Unlucky,
up
Dan.
with a box, with like a beer box. And they're all going, what's going on here? You've got an absolute ringer. So anyway, first frame, I break. Pretty good break, I think, considering the level. He knocks in a 143. I just sat there going, what is this? Yeah. So the second frame, I put the black safe, the pink safe, and the blue safe, and just think, do you know what? I'm just going to get my money's worth. That's all I care about. And he knocked in a 63 just using the yellow and the green. I was out, obviously, and that was that. But
wow, you've got a story though.
Judd is phenomenal.
So Tristan's in the chat just says used to play used to pull a little, tried to qualify for the world champs a few times at the Vauxhall Holiday Park in Yarmouth. Said made the 5th round the second year. Trouble is there was 8 rounds of qualifying. Wow.
Yes.
And the standard was so high. Happy times though. Stephen 40 says oh my god, Dan and me would be great mates. He said I worked at the 5th Avenue nightclub, then played at the local pool pubs as well. So
awesome.
There you go, Tristan. World Championships is horrible. I used to go there. Yeah, we went there every year. I played in the World Masters, got through to like last 64, last 32 maybe. Wow. But yeah, I never qualified for the England men's team. I tried a couple of times, got close, but never got in. But yeah, it's a different level. Like you just don't miss balls, and you don't miss balls over 15 or 20 frames. It's just another level.
It's obvious just watching the quality of general play, on TV or online, because a lot of stuff gets streamed now. Is that the players don't make mistakes? They just don't. They're very, very highly skilled. It's a pool is a great game because almost any player can clear a table given the right set of circumstances, and you feel good about yourself. And if you play often, you can have a fairly decent game. But the standard of the players, at the top is just, wow, insane. Now,
it is.
I tell you, I could have this discussion, Dan, I could continue this on for another 3 hours. I'm sure Leigh could. We've outlasted the deep stack as well. And Mark Shepstone was in the chat saying, very happy with third. Good luck to the final 2. Who took it down, Leigh?
So Tam Ho from Canada ended up taking
well
down
done.
the win, pick $136, beat Twan Verbiest into second place from the Netherlands. Tam ends up top of the rankings leaderboard for this week, along with Florian Preuss. And Pav Rathi's there as well, and Paul Harris. So they'll all be picking up tickets in their accounts next week.
Great.
And we'll do.
But
it
the most important is Barry Simpson came in 15th. Yes,
He did.
Barry
He did.
the Slug.
Doubled his money.
Well done to Barry. Well, listen, guys, we're going to have to call it a night because, we've all got beds to go to and what have you. But I would like to say a huge thank you to Dan. It was lovely to speak to you after, quite a while. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to do this again. It feels like we're only just coursing the surface of some of the... we didn't even talk about Mars. We didn't talk about Mars. Did you see that video? Oh, no. Did you see the video from Mars? They said it's just unbelievable.
Sound,
When all of that distance, everybody's on lockdown on Mars as well. Who knew? Who knew?
Oh, dear me.
It's only taken 2 hours and 20 minutes. He's had it there written, ready to go.
Hold on. Jamie O'Connor's coming through.
Oh, I saw him waving.
Sorry, can't get that.
Oh, dear. It's the only thing he had on the script for the night. That was it.
No, thank you for inviting me on, guys. I said it's been a very long time, but it's, nothing changes, does it really? Everything changes, but nothing changes.
Yeah, we just get a bit older. We just get a bit older. Yeah. That's all. And to you guys out there who've been watching in with us or playing with us during the week, thank you very much too. We didn't cover the chat box as much tonight as we normally do because we've just had a great discussion with Dan. Hope you guys enjoyed it. The leaderboard tourneys go on across next week. As usual, guys, Leigh and I will be back next Sunday with another guest for the APAT Show, 10 p.m. Until then, have a great week. All right. So with that, good night, everyone.
This message is for the real stars of poker. I'm talking about you, my people, the players. Look, you play the game for the right reasons. Tension, the wins, the beats. But the things that we play for, they've been changing. The game we love is under threat. Most poker operators are only interested in one thing. These guys see the money, but they don't feel the game like we do. They don't care about you and the little guys. See, these punks are letting some bad things into poker. Like predators, right? Using unfair tech so they know your moves before you do, and they're all anonymous, and I say no more. Because poker should be played fair. With people who care about the game, not just their rate. And party poker are those people. We're putting players first because we are players first. Party poker gives over 1/3 of their revenue back to players. And we're innovating. That's why players are joining us every day. Like these guys. Legends. Fellow legends. If you love poker, like we love poker, it's time to join party. Because this is poker. Oh, man.